Hello and welcome everyone to the final of the 2024 Speed Chess Championship. My name is Fiona Anthony. I'm here once again. Christian, you're looking fresh. I was so in my own world the whole setup time that I'm just noticing that fresh cut now.
Good morning, Fiona. Yes, I mean, I'm actually flying once again immediately after the broadcast, so I had to get fresh for the Olympiad. I will be doing commentary for that one, so you gotta look good on camera, I guess.
Absolutely. I hope you are all packed. You will be leaving right after the match. By the way, guys, exciting news. Hikaru will be with us for some parts of the match today. So that's something to look forward to. And well, Christian, these are the two players who made it to the final. Magnus Carlsen, I don't think he needs any introduction. He's taking on Alireza yesterday. I made a bold pick. I picked Alireza for this final. You've
That's
got
probably
Magnus.
look. Everybody, to be honest, has been praising Alireza because he's just been absolutely incredible in the last few months, especially after the candidates. But even before that, you could feel that 2024 was definitely a great year for him. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bold choice. I see this one as a coin toss. I mean, it's maybe the first time that I'm saying that whenever Magnus Carlsen is involved in a match, but this is it. It feels like it's a change of generations, and Alireza believes in himself, knows what he's capable of, and I think he's going to give Magnus a run for his money.
Yeah, I mean,
Still,
Magnus.
I'm going to pick Magnus. Look, I'm going to go with Magnus on this one.
Loser buys the winner a drink at the Bermuda party.
Yes, absolutely. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. Yes.
It's funny, right? That today we're commentating, you're sitting in the US, I'm sitting at home, and tomorrow we're both in Budapest. It's funny how the chess world works. But yeah, today all eyes on Paris. We see Magnus Carlsen just about to walk on. I think and I hope it's gonna be a close one. All the matches we've seen so far were interesting in their own right, but they were all basically decided.
I'm almost sure it's going to be a close one. I cannot see this play out in any other way. Look, I'm thinking about their matches from the Champions Chess Tour, the recent ones. Alireza was in a must-win situation in two matches. He had to win back-to-back matches. He was coming from the elimination bracket, meeting Magnus in the finals, and he defeated Magnus twice in a row. So Alireza, look, very few people have beaten Magnus in a match setting. Alireza is one of them. Still, El Magneto. He's he's going to his board. He looks fresh as well. He's going to make his way to Norway also. And there you have it. That's Alireza.
Alireza is looking fresh too. He's always, I mean, for me, he is one of the, the most stylish players in a way. Like, you can think of it what you will, but I think he is a breath of fresh air in those terms for the chess world.
Absolutely.
Interesting to me that Magnus walked on first. I would have expected, he's not the world champ any longer, but he is the undisputed number one for so long. But yeah, the players are sitting down. They are ready. They are going to get into the zone. Christian, do you think today more important than ever to get a good start to this match?
Absolutely, absolutely. And like in every single match we've seen it, it's a matter of streaks. Who's going to be able to get more streaks? We've seen it with Hikaru yesterday. We've seen it even with Hans. He got back-to-back victories and put some pressure on Hikaru, but Hikaru was able to regain that composure that he's very well known for and managed to absolutely demolish Hans in the second part of the match. But this is what it takes. You're going to have to find those streaks and maintain them throughout the match, and then not tilt. This is extremely important because it's a format that definitely incentivizes tilt. You lose a couple of games, the games keep on coming, you don't have time to refresh, and that's when tilt sets in.
Magnus seems in high spirits today. We see him smiling. We're not sure what he's smiling about. The fan is blowing in his face. I think quite a lot of the players have mentioned that it can get very, very warm into the playing hall. He's off the seat. Alireza looks ready. He's put on both sets of headphones. How big a role do you think? Oh, I think Magnus. I know. I saw this
That
person on.
is the first Neuralink patient.
Ah,
He has been using the chip from Neuralink to, in fact, play chess, which is very, very cool. So I think right now they're probably going to do like either a hand and brain demonstration or just Magnus meeting him. I think it's definitely pretty cool.
that is incredible. Yeah, I've seen him on Twitter a bit, but I didn't have time yet to look into it. So, very, very cool. Yeah, I don't. Should we be quiet or is there no sound on this? I don't know. I'll just be quiet in case we can hear.
Maybe the chat can guide us this one, where we should be quiet or listen to James Conti, the third, and the first Neuralink patient. And you see the
And it's
fans.
very cool to see the audience. I mean, it's I imagine that all the tickets were sold out. Um,
Yeah, we don't have mic sound, so we can
okay.
definitely chat over them. And you can see Alireza in the background. He's focused, but he's enjoying this type of things. He seems like a very relaxed young man, and that's something that I've noticed with Alireza. Again, outside of the candidates, in every single tournament that I think he's going to make the first move. He's going to make the ceremonial first move. That's my guess. Or maybe
Oh,
they're
is
just
that a
playing
Von Cloud we're
Oh,
seeing?
they play the bug cloud. Okay, that's funny actually. That is very funny.
That's great to see. I mean, it's great to see, Hikaru, and we can ask him more about it when he joins us, but he did say, it was very cool to play in front of an audience. We see both Magnus and Alireza in high spirits. It looks like it's been all in all a very fun event in Paris, and yeah.
Yeah, it's a completely different Magnus, right? He was
Mm.
tense in his match against Hans. He wasn't smiling. He was barely looking at his opponent. He was just focused and locked in. Right now, he is still locked in, but he's in a much better mood. And he talked about it as well. Look, he just wanted to go through that match. He said he felt very stiff during that match, but right now he hopes to play loose. And I think he will need this. Because Alireza, I mean, my God, what match he played against Hikaru. He played absolutely incredible chess, especially in those last few seconds. He was able to maintain his composure and found absolutely every brilliant tactic that Hikaru allowed him to get.
Yeah, incredible stuff. Before that, he won the Singfield Cup. He won the Singfield Rapid and Blitz as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, back to
So
back.
what a summer it has been for Alireza. Why is Alireza wearing a sweatshirt? Why not?
Look, men's not hot.
I mean,
But
Alireza has played one match there before, so he knows what temperature it was going to be. I think, for these players in this setting, a long match, I think they just want to be comfy. I'm not surprised, they're not showing up in a suit and tie. Anyway, we have liftoff. Magnus starts with the white pieces.
Yep. And we have a King's Indian defense. Once again, Alireza stays true to his calling. He wants to play an aggressive match. He doesn't want to play any sort of like peaceful, cagey Nimzos or some Queen's Gambit declines. No, none of that. He wants aggression over the board.
I see, by the way, Stin in the chat is saying that Magnus said to TV2 before the match that he feels like trash, his head filled with slush. He had to take a nap just before the game and he's not feeling in shape.
Not great news for him.
Alireza said he's feeling great and fresh.
Yeah, that's actually not great news. And if he feels that way, he definitely doesn't wear it on his face. That's perhaps a great thing for Magnus. And maybe if Alireza doesn't know that, he's not going to be able to at least psychologically take advantage of it.
Yeah, also the thing with Magnus, even when he's not been feeling the best, sometimes I think we've all been there, even if we don't feel great, we come to the board and, things can fall into place. So anyway, let's look at this King's Indian. Early
Yeah,
doors, but Alireza playing very fast, trying to put a little squeeze on the clock already.
yeah, I don't. Perhaps Magnus just simply did not expect this, even though he played the first few moves quite quickly. Maybe this early h6 was a bit of a surprise by Alireza, and now a completely different setup. Rook to b1, very intriguing move to try to expand on the queen side with b4, and I like how the two players are kind of maintaining this tension in the center. Of course, white can always either take or go d5, and finally he decides to take on e5. Now, if you are Magnus, you probably watched the type of positions that Hikaru was excelling in his match against Alireza. And it was this type of cagey positions. We've seen the dance of the knights, if you remember, that end game with the two knights where Hikaru managed to outplay Alireza. I think this is what Magnus will try to achieve also.
I still have PTSD from all the forks, all the tricks that Alireza found in that match. And okay, after a3, this is the first moment where Alireza pauses. Do you move the knight from d7? Does that knight start to dance, or do you first play a move like queen e7 to keep the queen
Ask
on the
and
board?
you shall get an answer. Alireza
Exactly.
immediately played a knight to c5. And yes, you don't want to take on d8 and take on e5. I don't think that's going to work because I'm just simply going to take on e4. I believe that works. So take with a rook, and you do defend the knight on e5, but then at the end you have this bishop f5 idea and take advantage of the fact that both the rook on e4 and the rook on b1 are going to be on the same diagonal. So those are the type of calculations that I think perhaps Magnus assumed that knight c5 is not possible for that reason, but now he realizes that knight takes c4 comes at the end. Queen c2, okay, I like this move. But now I see this big difference. White has the pawn on c4. Black can control the center of d5 square with c6. So what I think Alireza is going to go for is knight e6, knight e4 at the right time.
This looks like the opening phase has gone quite well, actually, for Alireza. It looks like he has, I was gonna say at least equalized, but looks like b6 was not the way to go. I mean, I would even be worried here as black that you would just take on c5. I know that's not what the computer wants to do, but we don't have to be worried about that pawn structure?
Look, the problem with that is that, again, you wouldn't be able to get the knight on d5. I'm going to go c6. I'm going to have the pawn on c5 attacking and supporting a potential knight coming to d4. And yeah, I wouldn't be too worried if I was Alireza about that. What I am worried is about white going b4 at the right moment and just expanding in the center. Still early on, still a very complex middle game right now.
So how do we combat that idea of white wanting to play b4?
That's a very good question. I think a4 perhaps. Perhaps just a simple a4. Now you're ready. But a4 comes with consequences. a4, now you actually have to calculate take, knight takes a4, and maybe you have knight takes e4. But this is very difficult calculation that you need to get engaged in if you want to do that. So a4, not an easy move, not a practical move. I was just about to say he's not going to play it, and he plays it. Okay, so what if I just take?
What if you take, then...
I'm not sure what he had in mind, but h3 was his choice. Now bishop
and now
d7.
the pawn is defended, so if you wanted to take it, you had to do it earlier. I am shocked, to be honest, that the computer prefers this position for black. Can you try and explain to me why that is?
Yes, because this knight h7 was a tremendous move and perhaps something that Magnus missed. Knight h7, he wants to go to d4. Knight e6, knight f8, knight e6, knight d4. And in the meantime, sure, your knight is beautiful on d5. I'm not ready yet to go c6 because you're going to go knight b6. You're going to attack both my queen and the rook. That's a nice fork. But I will get ready to play c6. I'm playing rook b8, maybe with some pressure, c6 at the right moment. But as soon as I get my knight on d4, this is bad news for you. Really bad news for white. So Magnus needs to do something, and he needs to do it quick.
And Magnus is spending a lot of time here, knight h7. As you said, maybe that move was missed by Magnus. He's doing some maneuvering of his own. I guess he wanted to go to g4, but h5, another great move by black, just taking control over that square.
Knight f8, g4. You see, Magnus immediately goes for something. He feels that he needs to do something quickly, otherwise he's just going to be strategically busted. And that's why he's trying to muddy the waters.
To g4? I mean, white is threatening to take on h5, so I was just gonna ask, do you take on g4 yourself, or do you play h4?
h4 was his decision, and now maybe
what happens after queen g5, queen d8, I guess?
Probably just queen d8. Yeah, probably just queen d8. But this is like, I'm taking on d8 and then I'm taking on c7. What is Alireza thinking? Perhaps just he's thinking that he has enough compensation after that. Big question right now.
He's
Big
shaking
question.
His head though. I don't think Alireza has the answer to the question you were just asking of what is he going to do. The computer tells us it's fine, but I don't think Alireza knows that right now.
No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't have the bar like we do. Knight to e6 probably he's going to go for. Yes. Queen takes h4, but now I'm a pawn up. And also my knight finally is coming to g5, and perhaps I'm going to try to get something. Queen to d8. So he decides to give the h pawn instead of the c pawn. And for good reason. Look, it makes a lot of sense because you want to have this c7 pawn go c6 and kick the knight away.
Magnus trades the queens.
This is tense, Fiona. This is super tense right now. h4. Do you go king h8 first, or do you go c6? c6, knight b6 might be a problem.
Yeah, can I do something like rook b8 maybe?
Oh, you certainly can. You certainly can. And that's what he decided to go for as well.
Am I ready for c6 now? Or?
c6 maybe knight d7, king f8, rook d1, but then you just clog the d file with the move knight d4, and that's GG for me.
I would probably go c6 here.
The problem with c6, it locks the bishop out, so maybe I can try to go for the a4 pawn. Yeah, these are the two moves, knight d4 or c6. I think these are the two moves that Alireza is thinking. 50 seconds, give or take, for both players right now.
Guys, chill out about Hikaru. The pinned message does say he will be here after roughly 45 minutes, so chill out. For the next half hour, you'll have to do with just Christian and me. And then the boss will be here. F6, and yeah, Magnus, it feels like he is taking control over this one. He has an extra pawn, but Alireza, I would say, still has some compensation. We could see our first time scramble here already.
We will definitely see our first time scramble, because the position, it's still extremely balanced, very balanced. I mean, none of the players have managed to gain any sort of big advantage.
But what is g5? Takes?
He's trying to go knight g4. Maybe at the right moment, not immediately, because you lose a piece. So king g2. I like this move by Magnus, and then maybe knight f3. 20 seconds each. Knight c3. Defend the pawn on a4.
Rook e8. I mean, that's not a move you want to make.
King f7. Knight e3. I like this move, defending the pawn on c4. Maybe even bishop g4 is coming. What to do with the bishop on g7?
Yeah, bring it to e7. It wasn't doing anything. It was just defending. Does it have to go back, or does it go to d6?
He decides to go to d6. And this is where Alireza was absolutely impeccable against Hikaru. We'll see if he can manage to keep the same precision against Magnus. Bishop g4, it doesn't seem like he does. Right now, Magnus is taking over. Rook h1, rook h7. You have to defend that. Ooh, Magnus won. Holy smokes.
That happened so fast.
Sorry. No. I think I just pressed the wrong. Oh. My bad. He did not win yet. We're still missed a couple of games there. Sorry about that. That was a different
The
different
game is
match.
still very much alive. Material is coming off.
Very balanced. Still extreme.
Material is now
extremely
suddenly
balanced.
even. And
Yes.
this surely should just be a draw. Magnus still has a pesky knight, but now with opposite colored bishops. There is nothing
And
left
that's a
to
draw.
play for. And
That's a
that
draw.
is a draw. What a close start to this match.
Close. Very close, very tense. And look at Magnus. He's smiling. He knows that he had something. But once again, Alireza just proved why he is so resilient in these time scrambles. By the way, should we occasionally switch the board view from Magnus to Alireza? We've been keeping Magnus for a long time.
Let's ask the viewers. I would be happy to mix it up.
To mix it up occasionally?
Maybe we can mix it up after the first break or something, like at the halfway mark. I don't know.
I kind of like that idea.
Oh, they want to watch always from white.
Okay, we can do that. We can watch from the white's perspective.
We can do that.
There we go. Alireza right now with the white pieces. We're switching colors. C3, obviously trying to go for D4. And Magnus chooses the briar. What is considered to be generally quite a passive approach, right? You go knight b8, you lose a few tempis, but it's the type of position that Magnus excels in, and he wants to play long grind in which Alireza will have to spend some time trying to figure out the best maneuvers. I think Magnus is trying to utilize his experience right now.
You know what I think? I think in this match we're going to see a lot more different openings. Yesterday, Hans against Hikaru, especially when Hans was white, we saw, you know, so many Rui Lopez's, we saw a few Italians, but it was a big debate on just one or two openings, while I think today, I think we're going to see loads, but
yeah,
we'll
especially
see if that
because Magnus can do that, can shift from one opening to the other effortlessly, right? So I think precisely you hit the nail on its head. We're going to see a lot of openings and a lot of looks from Magnus mostly.
This one's still early stages. I was just gonna ask, what do you do here? Do you play on the queen side? Do you try and jump with the knights? What is what are the different possible plans?
Magnus seems to want to play on the queen side, at least to create some tension. Obviously a5, probably a3 is not yet possible because you just simply take and you cannot recapture with the a pawn to keep the structure symmetrical. You lose the rook on a1. So maybe something went slightly wrong. a3 I can just simply take, and that forces you to take with a c pawn, which allows me, d5. Okay. Magnus says,
I have a feeling that Magnus will already be a bit more comfortable in these positions. You know, he's played them for so long. He's so good. I'm not saying he's necessarily better, but even the fact, you know, that the computer is starting to tend slightly in his favor.
Look at this pawn
Look at those pawns go.
Look at this pawn structure. Yeah, this is some massive tension right now against the b pawn and against the center, right? A lot of ways in which black can get out of this tension. White, Alireza decides to take on d5 first. He blinks first.
And now how do we take? Or do we take at all?
Knight takes d5 seems like a good idea. Again, you have so many options. a4 maybe, close shop on that side first. Kick the bishop back, then maybe even take on b4 first. He decides to take on a. Okay, rook takes a1, I'm expecting. Unless you don't mind waiting for white to take on a8 so that you can create this very nice diagonal attack. Not sure what to do right now. You have options, that's the thing, and that's why both players are thinking.
On d5.
Take on d5 first. With the knight or with the bishop?
I was thinking with the knight, but maybe bishop. Okay, Magnus trades on a1.
But now white can... White had the option of going c4 and connecting those pawns. He decided to take on b4.
Okay, so what? White is gonna be left with this isolated...
So take on e5, right?
Mhm.
take, and then you take on b4 at the end of it. How is that
This
position?
looks...
And then I take, and then I take on b5. Wait a minute. No. So there's a different take that I'm missing. So takes, 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 take on b5 and take on d3, and that's queen and knight versus queen and knight. That's a draw.
That is a hoovering up of all the pieces, a liquidation.
That's a way. That's a way to do
Alireza,
things.
but is Alireza thinking, is he looking for more? Probably, right? See if he can...
I think he is. I think he certainly is. And maybe we're missing some ideas. So you take on e5, I take, you take with the rook, and maybe queen f6 to set up this very nice pin was an option for black as well. Queen b2. Defending on b4. What now, Fiona? What now? So much tension.
Do we defend? I mean, Alireza didn't take, right, on e5, so maybe we don't have to defend it. I would like to somehow start aiming at the pawn on d3. What if I play knight f4?
Knight f4, yes. Maybe I can take on e5.
And knight takes. Rook takes, knight takes d3.
Rook takes c8, queen takes c8, and then maybe something like queen d4 at the end of it. Super complex, super complex position. Super complex position, Fiona. Queen b8, he decides to just simply defend the pawn on e5. I don't want to calculate any sort of take anymore. I just want to defend everything.
The players have been, I mean, it's also a sign of how complex the position is that the players have been spending a lot of time. But things remain quite even here. We are yet to see first blood in this match. I don't think it will happen in this game. I think we are going to see another peaceful one. The players still have a bunch of time. Or
Difficult to say, right? Difficult to say. I don't know. Whenever we get to those last few seconds, time scrambles.
Who do you think has the better chances of
I think
creating
Magnus.
something?
I think Magnus. I think Magnus, just for the simple fact I'm seeing more weaknesses. Now I'm looking at these two pawns. You don't have a light square bishop to attack my b5 pawn. I have this bishop. It looks innocuous right now on f8. Out of play, but I'm keeping my eyes on this b4 pawn. So those are the type of maybe challenges Alireza is facing.
Alireza has to answer. How is he going to deal with the knight on c5?
Maybe d4.
I don't really want to take. I would love if I can keep the knight on c5. And also I like d4 because if I can get rid of my isolated pawn, I feel, okay, that's one big weakness that I don't need to worry about any longer.
I agree. And I think d4 maybe would have liquidated everything. Now, the problem is d4 is met with e4. So you no longer have that option. Slowly but surely, I feel Magnus is taking over right now. And his head bobbing.
Yeah, he's vibing.
Whoa.
And Alireza doesn't look happy again. Knight f6 again induced a little shake of the head. Where do you drop the queen to?
Probably b3. Yes. I'm still keeping an eye on e5, right? So maybe queen b2. I'm trying to force you to go e4.
Yeah, I think Alireza at this point would be happy to liquidate. He's also down almost a minute, down to 30 seconds now, Christian.
Yes. But we kind of, this is kind of the way Alireza likes to play. He goes down to his last few seconds and then he plays the best moves. And I think Hikaru...
It was Hikaru said, the new Grishuk, right?
The new Grishuk. The new Grishuk. Grishuk 2.0, a bit of an improved version, I would say. But yes, Alireza can definitely find the best moves with a few seconds on his clock.
Okay. The D and the E pawn are still alive. I'm white, I would really love to just exchange them, but I don't know how to. Can I guess I can play.
Queen c6. What if I just simply... taking would have lost, I think. g3, very nicely spotted. So take, take, take. Now I have a check, and if you have to go to h2, I have queen f4. That's a double attack. So bishop takes c5 would have lost on the spot. g3, nicely spotted by Alireza.
And Magnus saying, well, I'm not going to give you the chance to take again rook e8, defending the pawn.
Maybe queen f3 is coming now.
Yeah, it's
Queen
getting
f3
a
is a
little bit
sighting.
unpleasant. You know, it's not super scary yet, but unpleasant is bad enough when you're playing Magnus. But his time is also ticking down. Queen f3, I really liked it. What's king f8 about?
Not sure why he didn't play that. Queen f3, queen d1 maybe he wanted to play, but that takes and takes on b4. Bishop c1. Trying to go to e3, bishop e7, rook c1, and now bishop c5 is coming. Yeah, now I'm...
Pawn on d3?
Okay, rook a1. That's a bit of a strange move.
Okay, it's all happening. Magnus had a pick of taking on h3 or d3. He went for the h-pawn.
Don't move the bishop. Don't move the bishop. You get checkmated on f7. Do not touch that bishop right now.
3 seconds, by the way, for Alireza, but we're into the end game. Magnus will never lose this one. The question is,
I think he's... I mean, 2 pawns up right now.
Yeah.
2 pawns up, and the b pawn is such a monster. So right now we'll see if Alireza can survive this, but the chances are he's not.
Especially with him being the rate,
that's a mate.
The one who's down on the clock. Yeah.
That was a mate sighting. You had to be e5. Let's go, or rook b1, b3, b2. Now it's time to push the pawn. Check. Take on d4. Actually not. Maybe take with the rook. Okay, this is just a winning endgame right now.
Unfortunately for Alireza, the bishops were of the same color, and so he resigns. Magnus is the first one to draw blood. He takes a 1-point lead, a big win with the black pieces. And we are back to the King's Indian. Where is Hikaru when we need him?
Yeah, Hikaru is probably enjoying and will be enjoying this type of King's Indian setups. Yeah. I mean, he's such a renowned King's Indian player, right? His early stages of his career, he was beating people left and right with this. And that's exactly what Alireza is trying to do right now. Queen to c2. I like this approach by Magnus. Strengthening the center. Maybe bishop e3, maybe rook to d1. It's all about maintaining connection with your pawns. But now, after knight c6, a different look, right? We've seen knight bd7 in the previous game. Knight c6 right now. How do you approach this? d5 or take on e5? Magnus says no, d5.
And where does the I was wondering, can the knight jump forward? Yes, it does. Magnus does not take e4.
I need to ask you though, Fiona, how important is this victory for Magnus to start with a win?
I think very important. You know, we discussed the psychology of a match. I think these players, they're both, you know, so experienced in these formats. They are both in great shape. So I think Magnus will be feeling good. I think we even saw a little smile, you know, and getting the win with black is even more valuable. And now, well, this one, could we see some sharp developments, or is this going to be more of a positional affair? What is it going to be?
Looks like a sharp one. Truly looks like a sharp one, because what black's plan is to just open things up, go bang, 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 bang on the king side and try to get the mate. White is going to try to do exactly the same, but on the queen side. Something like b4, a3 to solidify, and c5. Open things up. Who's going to get there first? That's the question that the players are going to answer in the next few minutes.
Alireza for sure has gotten exactly what he wanted. He's come to play. We've seen, I think before, in the previous matches, black taking a more solid approach overall in general, but Alireza, none of that. He is like, okay, I will take it to you with white, with black. He will look to strike back immediately. You know, I've never actually played the King's Indian, so I look at this.
I played it once.
Wondered, Hmm?
I played it
Once.
once. I got absolutely destroyed.
And never again.
I couldn't get any attack on the king side, and I got mauled on the queen side. And then I was like, okay, I'm not playing the King's Indian. It's not for me. Sorry.
How long ago was that?
I don't know, 20 years ago. I'm pretty old. Um, yeah, it's been a while.
And
One King's Indian game for me.
that's funny. I had the same, well, not quite, but almost. I at some point decided I wanted to play the King's Gambit, and I got one very nice win. And then the next time I played it, my opponent had actually prepared something, and I lost in like 16 moves or something. And then that was also the last time.
Rook to c8, b4. Wow. But this b4 move, I mean, it leaves so many squares behind, especially the light squares. Right now, get the bishop to c4. Do not allow white to go b5. Go bishop c4. Difficult decision, and he chooses it very nicely so. And not only that the bishop is great there, but it also stops the knight from going to c6. That's what Magnus wanted.
I would have played queen g4 here instead of rook c7 in a heartbeat. Just, little cheeky cheapo knight h3 and just bring the queen closer. But rook c7 also makes a lot of sense. Alireza,
you can do it now.
You can do it again, yeah.
Why not? Rook to c8. Alireza is focused on the other side, which makes some sense. The problem is, as soon as you move the bishop, I plant a rook on c6. Don't move the bishop. Really don't move the bishop, because that rook on c6 is going to be so powerful.
I actually feel, if I were black, I would feel a little bit worried having that bishop behind enemy lines, cannot be defended by a pawn. Is there no way that white will be able to just trap the bishop?
I don't see it right now. It just requires too much manpower right now to get to that bishop. Something like knight
b2, queen b4.
Yeah, but then you're allowing me to go knight e2, checks, even bishop to e2 is also... And it just takes too much time.
Okay, so the bishop... Okay, that makes sense.
And to be honest, you move the knight away from the king side. Now I go queen g4. He's going for it. Knight b2, but now queen g4 is definitely going to come.
This time it is Alireza who has a time edge. Can he keep it though? I'm surprised that this move, queen g4, hasn't come yet. I mean, surely now is the time, because, I mean, the bishop from c4 cannot really move. The knight on f4 is well placed. The rook's on the c file. What else? Okay.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is. And the thing is, strategically, you do have to make sure that bishop takes f4 doesn't work that well. Because if you have to take with the g-pawn, then your attack is kind of over. But what he's going to do, once bishop takes f4 comes, he's going to take with the e-pawn, and that opens up the next bishop. You had this bishop, beautiful bishop on c4, but now the real monster enters the game. So don't take on f4, he says king h1. What now? Maybe go here. Some ideas. Also, how do you protect the e4 pawn?
And he goes for just that. The pawn
Great
is
move.
under attack. Yeah, knight h5. Those moves are always hard. Backward knight jumps. It's something about them. It has been discussed plenty. They are not easy to spot. So kudos to Alireza. This looks like an amazing move. Is he just winning a pawn?
He's looking good. He's going to snatch that e4 pawn. Magnus needs to strike on the other side. He needs to go a5. He needs to go a5 because otherwise he's just going to get squeezed right now. There's no counterplay. He needs to find it. Where is the counterplay right now?
He doesn't look happy. He is frowning. I think it's tough, to find a5. If I was white, I wouldn't even be looking at that side of the board. I would feel like, okay, I'm, under attack in the center. I'm under attack on the king side. Of course, Magnus, is not me. But I think it's tricky to... Wow.
He found it.
I mean,
look, he's getting squeezed right now, and when the tiger gets encircled, that's when he's the most dangerous, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. a5, let's go for it. Let's find the counterplay. Now, how do you approach this? You can take on b5, And that's going to force, and by the way, this is probably why Magnus didn't want to play a5. Now the bishop can get back into play.
Okay, but so black takes on b5, white takes on c7 first, and then on b6. Oh,
Take. That's equal pawns, but at the end of it, you're still going to have to deal with the e4 pawn. So maybe rook b7.
By the way, I think we are being joined by Hikaru, who has just jumped on the call. We can't hear him just yet, but he'll be here in a second for this crucial final phase. By the way, I think this probably will be the last game of the
before the break.
Before the short break.
Yes.
But it's a tense one. Alireza is spending a lot of time here after a5. Will he take on b5? Apparently, it's the only move to keep an advantage.
Big moment right now, and Alireza is sensing the moment, sensing the critical nature of it, and he's spending a lot of time catching up with Magnus on the clock. Big moment. He needs to take on b5.
So what's the... Okay, he does
He did
take.
it. Queen b4, best move. Bishop takes b6, but rook to c1 now. That's a lot of pressure against the king.
And he finds
it. Wow. What? Rook b1, just hide the rook. There's so many pins right now that you have to deal with. There's a lot of pressure on Magnus right now. Will he be able to survive this one?
I mean, it's unbelievable if Alireza just strikes back immediately with the black pieces as well. What a start to the match. This one, it isn't over yet. Both players under a minute, but how do you defend?
I'm not sure how, because you're sort of stuck. And my next move is very simple. I go knight f6, target the pawn on e4, target knight g4 as well. How do you untangle?
I mean, Magnus doesn't have the answer. He's down to 20 seconds. Rook c2. Black
Queen
still
f7.
has to be precise. Queen f7 with a little threat.
Cheeky idea, yes. Not only that, you guys are getting Hikaru. We're getting Hikaru from two sources right now. We have two Hikarus in the stream, and finally we have Hikaru.
Hikaru, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Are we good?
Yes,
we are good. We can hear you. We can see you. You're arriving just in time for the final moments of Game 3. Do you think Alireza will be able to take this one?
Oh, it's looking pretty good for him, right? It's looking very good, actually. Well,
but
let me
Magnus
see. I guess
is
I'll follow
back.
your screen. Yeah, I'll follow your screen. So knight takes d5. Yeah, I mean, this feels like a position where Alireza is better with the two bishops up a pawn, but it's very unclear whether he's going to be able to win this. I still think he should win this game with knight f6 at some point, or okay, we'll get this endgame, takes, e4, I assume. But e4, maybe bishop d4. I don't know.
Yes.
Okay.
He decides to go for king g6, knight f4.
Okay. Probably bishop b5, bishop c6. Okay, I don't know about like e4 here, but g3, knight e2.
Bishop f2 perhaps. Ooh, he took on d3. But how do you stop the pawn right now? Like
yeah, I assume black just goes king f5. Oh, knight c3 looks like a good move, right?
That seems to be GG. Yep.
I mean, it should be GG, but
that's a piece. He wants more. He seems to want more, but unless he flags this one, this should be an easy win.
Yeah, I mean, for Alireza, if he doesn't win this well, it's not going to be his day, I guess. Whoa, what is h5? I guess it's all good enough. I mean, there's no big deal.
Do you think Magnus is going to force Alireza to go?
Oh, he's not going to. He's just going to resign. Okay. I don't know. With such low time, I might have actually sacked the bishop. If Alireza at 20 seconds is one thing, it was 7 seconds. I'm a little bit surprised that Magnus resigns. But is that the last game before the break? Actually,
it is. It is.
Yeah. So I guess it's a perfect time to join. Since now the score is 1.5, 1.5. Obviously, big shout out to everybody who is watching, of course. Yeah. So 1.5, 1.5. Alireza. I got the sense in the first game. I missed the second game actually. But in the first game, it felt like Alireza got a nice position in that King's Indian. I didn't see how it ended. but it felt like he had a pretty good position. And I felt like Magnus was a little bit off in that first game at least. I didn't see the second one, which Magnus won. But looks like Alireza is playing pretty well.
Are you surprised by Alireza deciding to go for the King's Indian, deciding to go for the aggressive approach, or did you expect that?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing I would say in regards to that is I am a little bit surprised because actually when I played Alireza, I played F3 on move 3 because I was expecting the Grunfeld, not the King's Indian. So I am a little bit surprised to see a pure King's Indian. But that being said, it is an opening. I think there are a few people who've been trying to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And so if he thinks that this H6 line is solid enough, then he probably will keep playing it. Although, did that happen in game 3? Because I didn't actually see the opening.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he did play H6 again. Okay. Wow. Yeah, so I mean, again. Sorry,
no,
go ahead.
He didn't go for. Yes, he did go for H6. Yes.
Right, it was Magnus who deviated. Yeah, so I mean, I think it sort of shows what modern day chess is, which is that as long as you have an idea, pretty much any opening is playable, is what I would say. And it's great to see. It's great to see that he's inspired and he's trying to play something quite different, at least early on in this match.
Is Magnus with somebody there? Does he have time to check lines, check anything against this H6 right now?
I don't think he is. I mean, actually, I guess I'll be pretty blunt about this, which is that pretty much everybody sort of was just chilling on the first 3 days or so. At least that was my impression. I did not see the Hans and Magnus match, to be fair, but certainly when I played against Alireza, for example, we pretty much just went and sat down. We were waiting to come back to the board to resume the match. But yesterday, I mean, Hans basically requested a private room or something, and then I think he had access to a computer. And he was talking to Kramnik, or so they say, on the breaks. Didn't help him one bit. But yesterday was a little bit different from that standpoint. But from what I've seen thus far, I mean, other than yesterday, everybody's just kind of chilling on the breaks. And I don't think Magnus has anyone with him. Alireza didn't have anyone with him either when I played him. So I think they're basically just going to be on the break and just relaxing. Also, you're not allowed to have a phone in the area, which I actually was going to say is a big difference versus when we play at home, because when you play at home on the break, you can talk to your seconds, you can do all these different things. And that's not to say that my match against Alireza would have been different overall, but it would have helped if I could have talked to one of the people that I work with on the break, specifically about that Spanish line that I played, where I just started getting destroyed in the opening. I think it was in the 3-1 right before the break that Alireza switched this 95 line. I started losing every game because I didn't quite know what I was doing. But I think other than Hans, everybody's just been chilling, and that's just how it goes.
But what are the regulations in terms of, so you can't have a phone, but you can have a person there with you?
You can definitely have people who are in the back area, but they aren't allowed to have phones either. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. I think it's a little bit silly, because in this back area, which is a VIP area, the VIP spectators are allowed to have phones. But if you have someone with you, they're not allowed to have their phone. But it kind of defeats the purpose, because if you have VIP spectators there with the phone, I mean, they could also just talk to the person you're with when you're playing the games, and you could whoever's with you could get information, I guess. So it's a little bit wonky and a little bit weird, frankly. I don't think anyone's done that. But generally, no, the people you're with are not allowed to have phones. And like I said, other than yesterday when Hans had access to a computer suddenly, I don't think anybody else has requested anything like this, and the players are not allowed to have phones. So you're basically on your own. It's kind of like the 960 events where, once you get the position, you have no phones, no computers, nothing. But yesterday Hans did have access to a computer on the breaks. So I don't know, maybe all the players have that now. I really don't know.
Now I just realized.
Yeah.
I just realized that we didn't have you on the stream yesterday, so we didn't talk about your match. Obviously, we heard your interview on the chess.com stream, but yeah, give us your insights. You slept through it. Give us your insights. How are you feeling right now? What's new? What's new after that match?
I mean, nothing's really new. I mean, am I missing something? I'm actually a little confused. Like, it feels like there's something that I'm missing that I'm supposed to know.
No.
Or something, but. No, I mean, I think I played well. If anything, I mean, I was a little bit disappointed in some ways, because I think I should have won the match by a bigger margin. I think, at the start, I was very disappointed. I believe it was the second game of the match where Hans played this G4 move, and I had like 4 or 5 seconds left, and I was calculating G3, any move except G4, and then I panicked and ended in a draw. So I felt actually the score yesterday wasn't reflective of how much better I was in Hans. I'm not saying that to try and like rub it in or anything, but I really felt like I should have won by a bigger margin. You know, even in the 5+1, I threw that last game away from a completely winning position. So I thought there was room for improvement, but it still was good enough. So if there's any takeaway, that's my one takeaway. Is I should have won by a bigger margin, but it's not a big deal because obviously I won the match anyway.
The players are about to, do you want, shall we flip the board and continue watching from the white side maybe?
Sure. Yeah.
No, let's watch from Alireza's side. I mean, honestly, I think what I would say is that I guess what I would say is that definitely I would like to see this match be very close. I honestly feel that when you look at the future, especially in Blitz, Alireza is very clearly the best Blitz player of the new generation. I don't really think anyone else is close to him. He's remarkable. That's all that I really need to say. But I feel like he's the one who's going to take the throne. I don't think any of the other juniors, even Hans with all his bluster about being top 4. I mean, let's be real. There are plenty of juniors who are better than him, like Noterbeck or Nihal, etc. But I do think Alireza is head and shoulders above everybody else. Head and shoulders, and it's really exciting to see someone from the new generation start to challenge and or overtake both myself and or Magnus.
What do you feel separates him from everybody else, from all the new juniors? What is he better at than all the new juniors?
Well, there are a couple of things that he's better at, but first and foremost, there's the fact that Alireza is very good at bullet. And, you know, you could say that focusing on bullet, it's bad overall, like you shouldn't spend time. But Alireza is someone who has played a lot of chess online in all formats, you know, 5-minute blitz, 3-minute blitz, bullet. And I think especially in the SCC format, or I would say SCC format, but just in general, the more bullet you play, the better your instincts are. And I would say that Alireza, one of the single biggest reasons that he's able to play so well with like a couple seconds on the clock is because when you play a lot of bullet, you sort of have this instinct. You can kind of get used to playing with such limited time. And I think that's one thing that none of the other juniors have at the moment. But I would say you're seeing some of the other young players do it. I think Arjun has played some of the bullet brawls, for example. You have like these Turkish kids like Adiz Gurel or Yagiz Connor Dogmas, who I think also have played quite a bit of bullet. So I think that it's becoming more common to spend time playing bullet, but ultimately it's just I think Alireza has played a lot of blitz online. He's played a lot of blitz. He's got a lot of experience, and it's paying huge dividends.
He has switched up the openings here. He played an Italian game. You have played plenty of Italian games against Alireza yourself. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if there's one great pity, or maybe my one regret from the match against Alireza, it's that he never had to switch to the Italian. He was able to play the Spanish the whole match. I never really challenged him very closely. So that's maybe my one regret. That being said, Magnus is playing. This looks a little bit fishy what Magnus has done. I mean, somehow this feels vaguely like what I did against Hans yesterday. There were some Spanishes where I think I played a knight h7, knight g5 with a bishop on f6, maybe one or two of them. This looks weird. This doesn't look quite right for Magnus somehow. This looks suspicious. But it's still very much a game. And I think that these days everybody plays the Italian or the Spanish, and it's not a huge shock to see it on the board. I think it's going to be very exciting.
I feel, when you talk about him having the experience of playing so much blitz and bullet, it seems reminiscent of what you used to do on ICC chess.com when you were in your 20s. Do you see yourself a little bit in Alireza?
Oh, I mean, of course I do. I see a lot of myself in Alireza. I think when I look back on my young days, let's just say starting from 10, 11, when I started becoming really strong, international masters level, one of the things that helped me the most was being able to play against the top GMs at that time on the Internet Chess Club. And I would say that for Alireza, I don't know if it's on my channel. I think there might be a Nakamura's Knockouts from like early 2019 when I played against Alireza, and he was like 2780 or 2800 or whatever it was. Obviously much lower than he is now. And so I think Alireza having the experience to play against top players like myself online was invaluable in the same way that it was for me basically 15 years earlier. So I think it's helped him tremendously in his improvement. I think also, you know, at the end of the day, you have to really, I mean, as much as I'm a competitor, just like all the other top players, I think it's very important to be realistic about where you're at and what you're trying to do for the game. And like, I'm not always going to be as strong as I am even now. But the fact that I've been able to contribute in some way, playing Alireza, playing Noterbeck, playing a lot of these top junior players online, I like to think that even if it's not a major deal, I've helped them in some way. And I think that's actually what I'm, in many ways, that's what I'm proudest of when I see people like Alireza playing, because I feel like, you know, they've sort of taken a lot of what I did in the younger days, and now I'm passing along to them, and it's great to see.
Yeah, let's talk about the position, Hikaru, for the moment, and I'm sure we'll touch upon those subjects, because you also mentioned your perhaps our upcoming match against Faustino Oro, who is.
I mean, it's not really a maybe. It's going to happen.
It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. That's another way for you to, you know, help the youngsters. Yeah,
I mean, I think what I would say is that it's, I mean, the final details are being worked out, but it is going to happen in November. And yeah, I think if I look at things broadly, you know, what is probably the biggest contribution that I can make to chess at this point in my career, and I really think it's along these same lines of trying to help these kids, help these young players, and give them a chance to either play against me, work with me, whatever it might be. I think that's the biggest thing that I can do at this point to contribute to chess. I mean, I feel like I've done so much overall, and I just think about those things. So you think about legacy, you think about what's possible, and so I'm actually really quite excited. I'm really quite excited about the future, and it's really exciting to see all these kids who are coming up through the ranks now. You have Faustino, you have Igis Connor Dogmas, you have, I think, a couple other 9 or 10-year-old kids. They're all just so ridiculously good at such a young age. So yeah, it's just great to be able to give back in my own way.
I was gonna ask you, I mean, we talked about, you know, Alireza, that kind of generation, Noterbeck and Nihal. Do you also keep a close eye on the next generation after that, Faustino and the others you just mentioned?
I mean, I don't follow it super closely. I think what I would say about it is, I think I've said this before, but I am very strongly of the opinion that we're in a very unique period in time. Is, for example, they're what we call COVID babies, for example, where kids who were born during the pandemic, and in many ways, they don't have the same skills interacting, because they grew up when every boom, things were very chaotic and different. And I'm of the opinion that this pandemic, the people like Bodana, sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, from oh, did we get an F?
F stream. It does seem like be down. I'm not 100% sure. Yes, it does seem like we're be back soon.
Do we just get an F? Okay.
We're on the be back soon right now.
Okay. I guess I'll wait for a second. Let's just wait. Yeah. I'll just drink some more coffee while I wait.
I'll be right back. I'm going on a bathroom break. Just a second.
Go ahead. Absolutely. Go ahead. That's completely fine. Oh, we're back? Are we back?
I think we are back. So you were just talking about, you know, these kids coming up during COVID. You mentioned Bodana just a second ago.
Yeah, so I think that we're in a unique period, whether it's Bodhana, whether it's Faustino. I think there's also this British kid, Ethan Pang, who I've been hearing about a little bit as well. That these kids who are getting really good at these young ages, who took up chess completely during the pandemic, I think they're going to be a unique generation. I don't think this is going to be the norm, where we have kids getting as good as they've gotten at such young ages. I think we're in a very special time, or that's not to say it can't happen, but I don't think it's going to be like common. I feel like every day we hear about someone very young who's just like becoming incredibly good. I don't think that's going to be the norm. I think it's going to be, when we look back in 20 years, I think it's going to be this COVID, this weird like COVID period, which led to this. By the way, I think, isn't Rook D6 very strong?
Yeah, what's C5 about?
Yep. Rook D6 looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, so as I was saying, I mean, I think it's going to be, we're going to look back on it as being a very special and unique time. And I think there's a good chance, like, if these kids break through, like the Faustinos of the world, that we could have like a unique world champion. Like, I mean, God, it's crazy to say this, but like 15 or 16, which sounds ridiculous. But I think we could be in a period where that might happen. So it's by the way, isn't Rook C8 or Knight D5? Aren't they both just winning here for white? Wait, what is Magnus doing here?
I'm not really sure. Bishop G5, yeah, Rook takes
Bishop
C8.
G5. Okay, Rook C8, Bishop E3 though.
Yeah.
Trying to get tricky here. Rook B8, Rook B8, Fe3, Queen G5 or something. Feels like it should be winning for white somehow, but...
Speaking of players getting much better, much younger, do you feel like they're also perhaps burning out much younger as well? So perhaps plateauing at like 20, 21?
Well, I don't know about plateauing in 2021, but I think what I would say is that, you know, a lot of people, when they think about chess players in their careers, they think about it from a very traditional standpoint. If you start at this age or that age, you know, X, Y, Z. But now, because kids are starting so young, I feel like they're spending more, they have many more years at a younger age when they're competing than in the past. And so for that reason, like when we think about a chess player, like retiring around 40, I think there's a good chance that might be younger, like 35, 36 in the future, simply because the players have those extra few years. You start at 4 or 5 versus starting at 7, 8, 9. And so I don't know if that's going to remain the trend that at 40 years old, you retire. I think it could be much younger. And by the way, Magnus just getting absolutely smoked here. King H2 is good. I mean, Rook E2, King H2. I mean, if you want to stop all the counterplay. Yeah, I mean, Rook E2 with B4 looks very clean. Just Rook E2, King H2, and then B4. And what is Black doing?
Yep. King H2, he decides to go for it.
I mean, it's good enough because you just go Bishop F7 and Bishop E8 and Bishop B5. I mean, it's not... Even Bishop E8 here is good enough. But C4 is good enough. Rook A2, C5. Yeah, I mean, it's a good start for Alireza. Good start.
Alireza was about to take the lead. I actually thought that, you know, 3+1 or 1+1, the faster time controls would be where he shines more. But are you probably not surprised to see him strike in 5+1 already?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised at all.
Should we continue seeing it from Alireza's point of view?
Of course, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would say that I think Alireza, as I mentioned before, by far and away is the best of the kids that I've seen in Blitz and Bullet. I mean, just everything online. I don't really think anyone's super close. Maybe Nihal, if anybody, but I think Nihal is a player who performs very well with 0 increment. I think with increment, his strength goes down quite a bit, similar to say like Daniel Naroditsky. So it's not shocking me to see Alireza off to a great start. I think for Magnus, he's going to have to be really, really focused here, really focused. And it's already, I think I would say this game is a critical game. If Magnus does not get a good position here, I can see this starting to get out of control because the King's Indian is supposed to be a little bit dubious. It's not supposed to be the best opening. So if Magnus doesn't get anything in this game, I feel like it's starting to go the wrong way.
Now, we're always talking about momentum, especially in this format. You felt that with Hans winning 2 games, but you immediately came back in the 3+1. What did you do to change the pace, change the momentum from his side to yours?
Honestly, I didn't do anything. I think that for me, one of the problems both against Hans and Alireza in the 5-1 is there was a moment when I was ahead against Alireza 1.5-half, I believe it was, the 3rd game, where I had the white pieces. I was up a pawn, and I was ready. I was happy to make a draw in that game, just stabilize the advantage, or at least keep the +1 going to the break. And then I put the knight on H5 and lost the game. The same thing happened against Hans, where I think it was 5-3, and in this final game, I was much better, if not winning. And then I just tried to play a safe line to make a draw, and I ended up losing complete control and losing. So, I didn't really change a whole lot because I actually wasn't super worried at that time about what was going on. My main view, I mean, was very different in the 2 matches. In the match against Alireza, I did not have a guaranteed advantage if the match was close going into Bullet. Now, if you look at my historical record in the SCC, I mean, in the old years, I used to dominate all the time controls, but in the last couple of years, in a couple of matches, I've had to rely heavily on the bullet portion to win. Very specifically, the match against Maxime, where I think I was down 1 or 2 going into, I think it was 1 in 2023. This year, I played against Nepo, and I think I might have been down, maybe it was even already going to the bullet, but I knew that I had a big advantage and I would win that match. And Against Alireza, I didn't have that advantage, whereas against Hans, I did have that advantage. I knew that if I kept the match really close, all would be fine. And I'd say additionally, the reason I wasn't worried is because I did get a lot of great positions against Hans with the white pieces in the 5+1. He simply did not know how to play against the setups. I mean, it seemed to me that he wasn't ready for it or whatever it might be, but he really was very sloppy. And I know people might have thought that I was joking with what I said about Levy's tournament, but I actually wasn't joking. If you look at Levy's game against, say, like Jurabek Kamrakulova, I think it was in the first game, Levy played a very similar knight f3, e3, b3 setup. And this guy Kamrakulov, I think is how you write it. He actually played it better than Hans, and that wasn't actually a joke. I was being honest because Levy played the same setups I played, and his opponents really did know what they were doing in a much more serious way. So I think it's just Hans got bad positions against me throughout the match. It felt like when he had the black pieces, and so I never really felt that worried. Because I got good positions, and of course the fact that I knew that if it got to bullet and I wasn't down by 20 points, I would win the match.
Hikaru, it seems like Magnus listened to you. He wanted to get a good game. He definitely has it in this one.
Yeah, but exactly. I mean, but why? I guess the first thing is fish base 6, rook a8 though. But I think the main thing is even if you go rook d1 here, like rook e d1, b5, g3, like Magnus has the 2 bishops. He can start to maneuver. He controls the open d file. It feels like a position where Magnus has no real danger.
Exactly.
There's no real danger here.
He got a great position.
And Magnus loves these positions. He loves these positions.
Yep.
Do you think Alireza did the right thing playing the King's Indian when he had just taken the lead in the match to continue with the openings?
I think for Alireza, he will do what he did against me as well, which is until he really gets into trouble in every single game, he's going to consistently, I think, play the King's Indian. Now, if he gets blown off the board in this game, I would bet a good chunk of money that he will switch over to the Nimzo Indian. But if he doesn't, then we'll see. It doesn't look very good for Alireza here, though. Safe king for Magnus, nice rook, nice pawn, weakness on the king side here. This looks pretty good for white. I bet that if he loses, this game, he will switch in the next one.
Yeah, and on the clock, he's getting dominated by Magnus right now. Magnus up 1 minute and 15 seconds so far. Lots of pressure on Alireza.
Yeah, I mean, it looks hard to play. It looks very difficult to play.
Difficult, but is it lost, Hikaru? Would you say it's lost?
I don't think it's lost, but I mean, actually, no. I think in practical game, this is lost. Bishop on c4 is way too strong here. Weak pawns everywhere. Yeah, I think it's too much in this game. Yeah, I think if Alireza loses this game, he will not play this next game. He will switch to something else.
Do you think Magnus is going to switch at any point? It didn't seem like he intends to do so, even after losing against the King's Indian once. I mean, feel at some point we're going to see some e4, c4.
I'm sure Magnus will vary. Actually, I was thinking that's one thing that Magnus has always been good at in a way that a lot of players aren't, is that he always has variety in his openings. I can't really think of a single match he's ever played online or over the board where he literally played the same opening every single game. He always plays e4, d4, c4, knight f3, all these different lines. So wait, what? Oh wait, no, wait. That looks like is there?
He couldn't take on g6 obviously because of.
There was something that was winning there though. There was something that was winning, but now wait, how clear is this after queen d7? Probably just queen a5, right? Actually, yeah, this looks pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, positionally, it's just winning for white. Positionally, it's got to be winning. Yeah, so Alireza will probably switch next game. I don't think Magnus is going to play d4 every game, but he probably... I don't know. I don't know how hard Magnus is prepared for this event. If I'm being honest, I was a little surprised. It felt like his openings against Hans were not the openings of someone who had spent a bunch of time preparing for that match. So I was a little bit surprised on the one hand. Wait, d7 and queen d6, that's got to be good. Or what? Is that good? d7, rook d8, queen d6, knight f8, maybe? Not so simple. But I guess what I would say is that he didn't seem like his openings were super crisp. They were obviously good enough because he's just a much better player. But I don't know how much actual prep he did for this. So I'm a little bit skeptical that he has like some great prep.
Now with opponent still on d6, it seems like rook e1, rook e7 might be a problem once you move the knight. Yeah, very nicely done by Magnus.
Yeah, I mean, Magnus is just playing a great game. As I said before, Alireza will not keep playing this. The moment that he loses a game or two, he'll switch. And you know, also in my match against Alireza, I think that was one of my big mistakes, is that I didn't switch right away. As soon as I got blasted in that game where he played f5, f6, and whatever, I didn't switch in the next game. Which was a big mistake. So, like, I don't think Alireza is going to let there be a second or a third game of the King's Inning where he might just get brutally blown away. He's going to switch it off pretty quickly, I think.
It's still early doors in the match. We're 5 games in. If you had to bet money now, who would you bet on?
I would bet money on Alireza, and the reason I would bet money on Alireza is simply that I think Alireza is better at bolt than Magnus. Like, I'm going to make a I mean, I don't think this is really that bold, but I'm just gonna say a bold prediction. I think that Alireza is better in bold than Magnus is currently. And by virtue of that, I'm essentially saying that I think I'm better than Magnus currently in the 1+1, which that's up for debate at times. But the way that Alireza played against me, especially with that lead, I mean, sure he didn't win every game, but there were a lot of very, very good decisions he made in that in order to preserve the lead without taking any risk. And I think that if Magnus isn't super sharp, we get to bullet, I think Alireza is going to beat him in bullet.
Yeah, and that's something that Magnus was mentioning as well. With very few seconds on the clock, he said that he felt Alireza was actually making conscious decisions while he was just trying to scramble, not even seeing the board correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I said it. I mean, I said it, I think, the other day. And a lot of people are new to chess, so they wouldn't remember this player, even though, of course, all of us who have played a lot do. But I really do feel like Alireza has essentially become the new Alexander Grishuk. And for anybody who hasn't followed chess super close, Alexander Grishuk is a Russian grandmaster who was basically the king of getting down to like 1 minute on the clock in classical games, and then just finding all the best moves, even if his opponent had 1 hour on the clock. And I think that's what I would say about Alireza. Is to me, he seems like the king of that now. A good example was the game against Fabiano in the Sinkfold Cup, where, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Christian, but I felt like Fabiano must have had like 45 minutes against like 2 minutes or something.
He was up on the clock. I mean, think he was.
I know by the end of the time, even the time evened out by the end, but he was up like half an hour for quite a few moves in that game.
Yeah. He was up by quite a lot.
Yeah, so I feel like that's what Alireza has become extremely good at. And he also did that in the candidates too. I mean, sure, the candidates, the wheels came up. There were a couple of games where in like the middle part, I feel like against Gukesh, the one that Gukesh lost, I think Alireza was down on the clock, but then he just kept finding good moves. Gukesh couldn't keep the time advantage, and eventually Alireza won that game. So I think that that is going to be a big thing.
Are you feeling Magnus is getting a bit sloppy in this one?
I assume he's still winning after Queen D4, but yes, I would agree that it feels like he should have had a cleaner way to win this game than what's going on right now.
And right now, Alireza is on 3 seconds. Magnus finally caught up, 18 seconds.
Well, this is a good game. I mean, let's see, because this is a position that Alireza should just crack. Honestly, if I had this position against anybody, I would crack. I would lose this game. So would any other top player. But he's still... Okay, he's too low. Yeah, he's too low. Yeah, I mean, there's G5 now as well.
That's it.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the position was a little bit too bad, but yeah, so, okay, but at least we have a close match. I mean, this is also what you want in the final, because honestly, jokes aside, I don't think any of the matches have been close thus far. Okay, we got Bishop G5, Bishop H4. Pretty normal stuff so far.
Something that Fiona loves to see, the Jacobianos.
Yeah.
We've been having a lot of Jacobianos.
How did you feel when you managed to make Hans stop playing the Italian after one game, or what was it?
Yeah, I mean, I felt pretty good. I mean, it's very nice that Hans has been talking too much about his great friend and mentor, Vladimir Kramnik, because as I mentioned in my recap, I mean, Kramnik played the exact line that Hans played in his match against Jose, so I was quite ready for it. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't surprised. I mean, I was just annoyed I didn't win that game, actually, because I should have won that game. But nonetheless, yeah, to make Hans give up the Italian after one game was really quite nice. I mean, I think the main thing with these matches is a lot of it comes down to the openings. And what I mean by that is that if you're able to be very solid, you can play an opening over and over and over again with black, and your opponent with white has to be changing, it's going to give you a big advantage. Whereas if your openings start falling apart, like mine did against Alireza, it becomes a very serious uphill battle.
I have one more question, a question from the chat about your match against Hans. During one of the breaks, you got a 60 in Puzzle Rush. Did that boost your confidence even more?
I mean, it wasn't really about confidence. Honestly, it was mostly just about winning the match and proving a point. So it didn't boost my confidence, but it was quite nice to get a 60 because I mean I've been close a few times in the past. I mean, more I'm annoyed that I didn't get 61 because I had that 61st puzzle where I should have gotten it. But nonetheless, I think that we have the footage of that, so there will probably be like a short video on YouTube at some point. But it's still quite nice to get 60.
Something is happening. Magnus was...
Yeah, we've seen a very angry, frustrated reaction from Magnus.
Reacted to something. I don't know if it was on the board or off the board, but...
I think he just doesn't like his position, Queen B1.
Well, isn't Queen B3 just strong? Queen B3 or Queen B1, both moves look very good.
Yeah, this is just a pawn. That's a pawn up. You cannot go B6, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, but this is what I was starting to say. It's like with Magnus, I mean, it doesn't look like he's prepared. It looks like this doesn't look like preparation. It doesn't look like he's studied this before the match. And I think Alireza is a little bit too good, frankly. I think he's a little bit too good to take these liberties against.
How do you prepare for an SCC match?
People aren't going to like this answer. I generally don't prepare for SCC match, and I think, you know, a lot of this ties into my overall philosophy, which is like, where's the motivation to study or get ready? And I've said it a few times, but I think one of the biggest reasons I've done much worse in the Chess Championship, in the Chess Champions Tour in recent times is because very rarely do I get excited to play in it. It's more like going through the motions. So I almost never do any prep for that. For the SCC this year, other than the match against Hans, where I did a little bit, actually not Hans, sorry, against Alireza, where I did a little bit of prep, which obviously didn't help me at all. I didn't really do a whole lot of work. And I think it's mostly because I struggle to find that motivation, because I've won it so many times, but also because it feels like in most matches, there's only one thing I have to do, which is I just have to keep the match close until bullet, and then I'm going to, you know, run everybody over. So okay, I don't really do a lot of prep. I don't.
What do you think about Magnus's approach right now? Knight G6, giving up the pawn, just saying, look, you take my pawn, I'm going to do stuff on the king side. How do you defend against it?
Well, it's very practical. It's easy to play here because either you go for it and you get a checkmate, or you lose on the queen side. So for Magnus, it's a great position to be able to play, even if it might be much worse, because he doesn't have anything else to do. So I'm not sure what Alireza is supposed to do. I'm not sure.
And he's burning a lot of time.
Well, that shouldn't matter yet. But yeah, it's a very tricky position because it feels like white should be much better, but it's not easy to prove at all. At all.
Can you talk a little bit about how to handle positions like this? You are up a pawn, but you feel black has a little bit, you know, of counterplay. What are the general thoughts? Do you think, okay, how do I push the A pawn, or do you try to consolidate? How do you handle these positions?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is there's some amount of time you can spend before you sort of have to just make a move. I think for Alireza, or not for Alireza, but at least for me, it's like you have a certain amount of time, and if you can't figure it out, then you should just be solid and make sure you reduce the chance of losing the game. Is what I would say. Queen D1 looks weird. I thought Queen C2 was better. Maybe not so bad though. But there's a point where you have to decide either like you slow it down and just try to be simple and make the draw, or you try to isn't G3 just good for white? G3 D5 Knight D2.
Yeah.
I don't like C6. It feels way too slow here from Magnus.
Too slow. Now, why do you think that is? Knight F4. Knight F4 seems to have been the better move. Now, what do you do after Knight F4 G3 instead of C6? Like, what was the plan in
Knight
that
F4
position?
G3. That's actually a good point. I don't know. Maybe you go Knight E6, Knight C5. I mean, it does feel a little bit superficial, but I think the knight on G6 is just going to get stuck now. It's probably it's deep stuff. The knight on E6 stops D4. You have Knight C5, but now after G3, the knight on G6 can't get back to the center very easily.
That makes sense. So something easily missable.
Yeah, I mean, that feels very deep, actually. That feels very deep.
A second ago, you said time wasn't an issue yet, but with 50 seconds, where do you think is the cutoff where time starts to become an issue in this game?
I think Alireza has to make the next couple of moves pretty quickly, because if he gets down to like 10 seconds, it's too complicated. It's a little bit too unclear. So I think bad things could happen. And Rook B4 looks kind of strong here. Or Rook B4 E5 maybe. No, and Queen G6.
Magnus is taking over right now.
Yeah, Magnus is moving fast because now he's trying to press him on the clock.
Rook B4, Queen C2, perhaps E5. Lots of options and very little time to decide on.
Yeah, for Alireza here, I think it's more about trying to solidify the position and just make the draw. That's what I would say. It's trying to make the draw here. Desperately trying to make the draw. But now Magnus will probably think for a minute, I bet. That'd be my prediction.
Rook to B2 is an option. Try to go for some tricks. Taking on D4, is that a move that you would like?
I thought there was Knight C2, but
Knight C2, very
but
nice.
still, there's Knight C2.
Nice
There still might be Queen G6. I mean, there's still a lot of tricks here. It's not simple.
Yeah, super complicated position. C5, perhaps try to open things up. Knight E6, so many options for Magnus. As you just pointed out, yeah, he's taking his time.
Right. Well, when you have three minutes on the clock versus 10 seconds, you should generally use your time. So that's I think pretty important. Yeah, he goes Rook B2, not the craziest move. I think probably Knight C4 or Knight C4. There still might be Queen G6. Yeah, you have to be very careful here. It's a very tricky position to play. But this is a good example where I would tell you that if I were playing this position with black against anybody except Alireza here, I think I'd be very happy and I think I would win the game. But he does blunder it. Wow, he blunders Queen G6.
So G3, what's the point?
Knight H3, King G. No, but that's just losing.
So G3, Knight H3, King G2, Rook takes F2, take
King
on H3.
There's also Knight F2 here, which with Knight F2, there's maybe Queen A1. I probably just Rook F2 takes and Queen E6.
Win? Yeah, where is the win there? Queen E6.
Probably you just take the Knight and the White King is super weak. Yeah, Magnus will win this game.
Yeah. It's a back and forth.
Yeah, Magnus I mean, it's very choppy.
Go ahead. Yep. Magnus 1-1, then Alireza 1-2, and now Magnus about to bounce with 2-game streak.
Also, Black is doing very, very well in this match. What's that about?
That's not surprising to me. I mean, I think that in a match the players have very solid preparation. Generally, they're going to they're going to do well with Black, as then with the white piece, you try to press very hard and win the game. That's what I would say. Yeah, this looks very, very bad for Alireza here.
3 seconds for
looks very
4
bad.
seconds for Alireza right now. 1 minute 54.
Queen B7, I assume. Only try to go Queen C8. Probably some way to Bishop D4. Yeah, and you just have it. You have G6, and it's just over because the Queen guards the pawn.
If Alireza loses this one, oh yeah, almost.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I was going to say that's the big danger is Alireza could tilt. Like Magnus now gets a white piece on a two game streak, and Alireza could definitely tilt here.
And I was curious about the opening. I thought maybe the fact that he lost 2 in a row, you were saying you thought he was going to switch to the Nimzo, but the fact that he lost 2 in a row, do you think that played a role here again in continuing with the King's Indian?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if he loses this one or he gets a bad, even if he doesn't lose, but if he gets a bad position here, he's totally going to stop. He's going to play something else completely. This is what he played last game, right? Take 6, Knight A4, was it? Or maybe I'm wrong. Something like that. But if he gets a bad position here, he will play something different next game. Mark my words. Or next black game.
We see Magnus head bobbing as well. What were you listening to during your matches?
Right, yeah. So yesterday, yes. You know what? One of the hardest things with playing like a match online is finding that right song or the right artist to listen to. I definitely didn't find it when I played Alireza, but I did find it yesterday. Like I was bobbing a lot. Yeah, I was listening to Ava Max. So I was listening basically to Ava Max. There's one song for whatever reason that I kept playing on repeat towards the end of the match. I think it was like One of Us or The Last of Us. I guess I'll check Spotify. But yeah, that's what I was listening to for the last like hour of the match, basically.
So you guys get to listen to absolutely.
It was One of Us. One of Us. Yeah, I mean, you can listen to whatever you want. Actually, I mean, when I played Alireza, this is bad for the stream to hear. But when I played Alireza, I was just listening to my regular playlist. But then when I played against Hans, I actually started off listening to a cardio playlist instead, versus my regular one. And yeah, so yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, I was bobbing to Ava Max. That's what I was listening to. I was not listening to And We Dance. That song would have made me laugh too much. So so yeah. Anyway, that's what I was doing. That's what I was listening to for anybody who's wondering. But yeah.
We just saw Magnus kind of shift from being too warm to too cold, and right now apparently perfect. How's the temperature in the playing hall?
1 second. So, oh right, the temperature. Yeah. So actually, I was very hot the first day that I played. I was very hot and I didn't request a fan. Maybe I should have, but Magnus did request a fan when he played the evening match against Hans Niemann. And then they left the fan there. So I thought it was very hot, a little bit unbearable. But okay, let's be real. It didn't change the result. So for anybody who wants to start thinking that it's an excuse, it was just too hot. But yesterday it was great because with the fan there, I mean, I felt really cool, and it was a good experience. So yeah, I didn't have a problem with the temperature yesterday, but definitely was too hot.
Good day at the office for sure.
What
about, by the way,
computer
go ahead.
Gives white a +2 advantage. Sometimes it doesn't evaluate the King's Indian correctly, but is this really
this is
so
garbage.
bad?
This is garbage. I mean, there's the D6 pawn is weak, the B7 pawn is weak. Your knights there's no attack on the king's side. I mean, this I think is if Alireza goes on to lose this match, I think we're gonna look back on this game as being the turning point where Alireza, after getting smoked that last game in the King's Indian, did not change it up here. And if he goes down by 2 points, it's already getting to a very difficult spot for him. Very, very difficult spot. I don't like the fact that he's continuing to play the King's Indian, especially after the last game. I really don't like it because if he had lost a game where he had a chance, that's one thing, but he was in a lot of trouble out of the opening last game.
Yeah, knight f4, he's throwing everything at the king's side, trying to get something, maybe queen g4, but there's nothing, right? I mean, everything seems to be protected on that side.
Yeah, it looks very, very sketchy.
Maybe I can even start with h3.
I think the other problem for Alireza, though, is if he gets behind, it's going to be very hard not to tilt because you start feeling this desperation to try and get the match close. Okay. I don't know if I like this, though. Is there queen f5 maybe? No, queen f5 still d6 probably.
Yeah, d6
looks tricky.
Bishop f8, try to go bishop d6. Magnus still feeling good about the position. Also, bishop f8, not a very natural move, I guess.
It's not crazy, but bishop f8, knight c4 looks good too.
Yeah.
Blunder time.
Pick up the pawn.
Oh, just queen b7, GG. Oh, just queen b7. Yeah, queen b7 and f7.
Yep. You cannot take on e5. Rook on a8 is hanging.
Yeah, I mean, I think just a big mistake by Alireza in this game to play the King's Indian. Because the last game, he really did just get destroyed out of the opening. Feels a little bit too sketchy to do it again, especially against a player like Magnus, who, I mean, even if he didn't get good positions the first 2 games, you have to trust that sooner or later he's going to figure out what to do against the King's Indian.
From what you've seen so far in this match, is just the black openings for Alireza the main problem right now?
Yeah, easily the main problem is just he's getting bad positions now every King's Indian game. It's actually the very same thing that, that he did to me, where I kept playing the same line in the Spanish and getting very bad positions right away, and he's going to change. Next game will not be a King's Indian. Guaranteed he's going to play Nimzo Indian or something different. Guaranteed. Guaranteed he will not play the same opening. Let me get some water. Give me 1 second, you guys.
Alireza is shaking his head. I mean, the match started out really close, but you don't really want to give Magnus that momentum.
It's an absolute roller coaster so far, right?
Yeah, 3 in a row if he wins.
No, but Hikaru made a very good point. Magnus adjusts as the match progresses. He adjusts and he finds ways to beat your openings, basically, or to get the maximum out of the openings he plays. So if you continue with this type of dangerous looking and perhaps even dubious openings, then you're probably going to get in trouble.
Yeah, that's what I would say. It feels like this is a little bit too far. I mean, I understand why Alireza played at this game after that horrible loss in the previous one. Like, I completely get it. But the problem is when you do this, if you get blown away again, it's going to be, what, a 2-point lead or a 3-point lead?
2 point.
What is it right now?
2 point. This is...
So, yeah, if he wins, it's going to be 3 points. Yeah, I mean, it's already...
Right now he's 1 point. Right now he's 1 point.
Okay, so it's going to be 2. So it's not too out of control, but you really have to stop the bleeding now. You have to stop it. Yeah, I mean, this is over.
Are there any chances here to swindle somehow? How do you create something?
That's a good question. I don't see how you do it. I think you're just lost.
A6 was a great move, by the way. Probably the best move, also the most practical move as well.
I mean, he's gonna go Rook B8 or something to try to confuse the issue, but I don't think it's really working. It's the problem. It's the only try, Rook B8. There's probably even just Queen C6, which is good enough too.
Ooh, yeah, Queen C6. That's the easy way.
Yeah. No, I mean it's all collapsing. It's all collapsing. Right. So, by the way, someone asked the question: was I actually saying the words? I was not saying the words. I was mouthing the words. I was not actually saying them. For anyone who's wondering, someone did ask that.
Do you think Alireza needs to change something up with the white pieces as well in the next game, or stick to what he's been doing?
It's too early, I think, to judge with white. But I think with black, he will change next game for sure.
Rook takes B8. How do we finish things off right now? Take, maybe Queen C4, D6, push the other one. That seems.
Yeah, I mean, there are many ways to win here. Queen C4 is good enough. D6 is good enough. I'd probably play Queen C4 personally. Actually, Queen C4 you can trade and go Knight D5 though, so maybe it's not quite so simple. Maybe not quite so simple. Maybe Knight F3 is Knight F3.
But Knight D5, do we have Knight C6? So Bishop takes Knight
yes,
D5,
you're
Knight
right.
C6.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yes, you do have that. No, that's a very good point. Yeah, so I mean, we'll see. Yeah, we get Queen C4, Queen D2, probably Queen E2 or something. Go from there. Yeah, it's unclear. By the way, people are asking a couple questions. First question is, someone says, are the crowds that are applauding the commentators the same crowd we see or hear? It is, and I mean, I understand why they're applauding at the end of every game. It can be definitely a little bit distracting, but that is what's going on. That's the first question that I'll answer. As far as the other questions, because someone asked a typical Kramnik question. Yeah, when people talk about mediocre matches, talking about matches and perfect player being mediocre is, first of all, you know, Kramnik obviously has a vendetta against me. I think I know why, but additionally on top of that, it's missing the essence of what Blitz and Bullet are about, which is not about perfect play. It's about making your opponent uncomfortable, making them have to find critical moves with limited time. So all of that is just it's just nonsense. That's really all that needs to be said about it for anybody who's wondering.
Do you want to, or can you get into what the why is?
I mean, I mean, like, what do you want me to say? There are a couple of reasons, but it's just disappointing to see. And I think he's desperate for attention. I think one of the hardest things to deal with in life.
I meant you said the vendetta, that you think you know why.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was trying to say. I was trying to say
sorry.
that I think the first big thing is that is that at the end of the day, when you're no longer relevant and you're desperate for attention or to be treated like you're very important still when you're past your prime, it's difficult to deal with. Especially when chess is all that you have in your life, and you've been a great player and you've been treated like your god for so long. I mean, I'm not going to lie or pretend that even for myself, you know, within the chess world, if you're really high rated or you're near the top, that you get treated a certain way. You get treated like you're great, like you're amazing, you're awesome, this, that, or the other thing. And it's definitely not true once you're past your prime. That's not how it is. And I think it's difficult for Kramnik to deal with, that people don't really care what he has to say anymore, that he's not super relevant. And then separately, I mean, I think at the end of the day, you know, there definitely is jealousy in chess. This is unfortunately a hallmark of chess. And I think as long as we live in a world where people are jealous of each other and people are, like, you know, hoping that people do badly or that it's a zero-sum game and it's only one person can win or you know, another person can win or this, that, or the other thing, chess is going to struggle in terms of mainstream adoption or interest. So I mean, I think jealousy is a huge part of it. I also think at the end of the day, it's just, it's personal for whatever reason. I don't actually know why it is, but it's definitely personal. I think it could just be the fact that I called him out on his nonsense from the get-go, and people know that he's completely full of nonsense, and he probably thought that everybody would treat him like he knows what he's talking about, but that's not how it works. It's no different than looking back in time at something like McCarthyism. If I'm gonna go way back in time, when you go on witch hunts and you're wrong, there's certain people who should stand up for what's right and talk about it. And of course, I've been one of the loudest voices, and I shut him down for his nonsense. And I think it's not even so much about me specifically, but I think that when you look at things and doing the right things versus the wrong things, at the end of the day, there are all these guys in the 2600 ranges who have been accused of cheating by Kramnik, who really have no way to speak up or fight against it. And I look at people like David Navarra, people like Frederick Svein. I might be mispronouncing the last name, but I look at people like that who've been accused, who really have no way of saying anything and have to deal with the slander. And I think standing up when someone is just making things up along the whole way, it's there's right and wrong on some things, and Kramnik is 100% in the wrong with what he's doing. 100% in the wrong.
Where
Yes.
do you see this ending?
I don't think it's going to end. I mean, I don't think it's going to end because, it's a free world. You can say whatever you want on the internet, and there are going to be some people who will listen to nonsense and I guess want to believe it. But at the end of the day, obviously the vast majority of people understand that he's completely wrong and it's nonsense.
Do you see this relationship between Hans and Kramnik continue, or do you think at some point we're going to see some friction between the two?
I mean, I think for Hans, frankly, he'd be much better off getting as far away from Kramnik as he can. I don't think that in the long run that's going to be good. I think in the short term, there probably are big upsides in terms of opening preparation that can definitely be to his advantage or to his benefit. There's no doubt that Kramnik was a great player. I think he's still actually quite strong. If you look at his match against Jose Martinez Alcantara, if they played the game completely fresh with no preparation, I think Kramnik will get absolutely smoked. But at the end of the day, he's very good at preparing openings, and he got a lot of great positions. So from the standpoint of being able to prepare openings, he's still very strong at doing that, which is not really all that surprising to me, because even, as I've said, I worked with Kasparov in 2011, which is already a good, 6-7 years after he'd retired, and his opening preparation, his ability to find ideas was incredibly good still. And so it's not too surprising to me that he's still able to do that. But I think in the long term, I mean, he's just someone who's like out of touch with reality, someone who has personal vendettas and is trying to slander everybody just because they're not good enough anymore, or they hate chess.com, or they hate me, or whatever. Like, at some point, I don't think that's productive, and I would hope actually that Hans actually realizes that at some point, but you never know.
Speaking of openings, we've got a wild one on the board. What do you make of
This,
this?
by the way, this opening is I think for Alireza, he's starting to go down this path that I went down, which is he's starting to get desperate too early. And one thing that I actually used to be really good at, but I've gotten much worse at, is match strategy. I used to be very good at playing it very tight, controlling the situation until I had to take chances. A good example is I played some matches recently. I think I played a match in the Chess Championship, the Chess Champions Tour against Dayak, where I won the first game. And the second game, I had a chance to make a draw, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to make the draw. I had to keep the game going. Then I lost with white pieces. I think that might have happened against Fedosseev too, if I'm not mistaken. So I used to be very good at controlling match situations. And now the reason I reference this is because in the Speed Chess Championship, on the breaks when I played Alireza, my wife was around. I talked to her, and she kind of was saying one of the things that in my mind I already knew, which is just keep it close till bullet and you can come back. And I think Alireza here, he's in this mindset where he felt like he has to win right now. It's not keep it close till bullet where I think he's the favorite. It's like try to strike back right away. Try to strike back. Try to win here. But the opening he's played in this game is very much a two-way game. He's going to win this game or he's going to lose this game. There's no in between, and it looks like he's going to lose the game.
There's still the saving grace, bishop h7, but it's not looking great.
93. Yeah, bishop h7 actually is a very important move.
It's the only move that keeps him in the game.
Yeah, only move.
If he doesn't
let's see how good his mental is, because he's lost 3 in a row. This is a very tough moment, losing a few games in a row. Clearly didn't see knight f4. I think he's going to find it though. He's used enough time here that I think he'll find bishop h7.
Nope.
And this is an example. He's already too shaky. He's too shaky because of the start that because of the last couple of games. And this could very easily get out of hand now. This could easily get out of hand.
What do you think he should do? He probably has one game left of 5+1. What would your advice be if you were there with him?
I mean, I don't know what advice I would give him. I mean, I think the main thing is he's basically got to just stabilize with black. I think he needs to stabilize with black and try to press with white. I think he's got to move away from the King's Indian. I think he waited one game too long, but he's got to move away from the King's Indian. He has to find a way to try and just put pressure on Magnus with white, but try to be super stable with black.
How well do the players
Magnus,
see each other in the playing hall?
Because
I see Magnus vibing right now. Like, do you spot Hans whenever he like fist bumps, or does he sees you when you head bob? Like, what's the dynamic of body?
I mean, you see it out of the corner of your eye, I guess, if you're looking. But during the game, at least for myself, I wasn't really looking at either Alireza, I mean, or Hans for the most part. Although, of course, I did give Hans a few stares when he made some very, very classic blunders. I'm not gonna pretend that I didn't, because I did. But I would say that out of the corner of your eye you'll see it, but you're not actually generally going to notice it unless the position is very clear cut or the game is over.
Did it surprise you when Hans came to shake your hand before the match?
I mean, I think Hans has people around him who are clearly telling him, certain things to do based on what the situation is. I mean, I look at the tweets that he puts out; they seem very strange compared to what he's saying in interviews or otherwise. But I suspect there are people around him who are saying, do this or do that is what I would say. And so, yeah, I mean, I was mildly surprised, but I would bet a good amount of money that somebody around him told him, well, you should shake hands or something. Like Hikaru lost to Alireza and he shook hands. You should just do it. Is my guess. So I was mildly surprised, but also, to be fair, Hans did it before the game, not after. He did it before the match, not after the match, which on some level you could say is a little bit weird, because it could be trying to play mind games, like trying to act all friendly before the game when obviously he said all these things about me or Magnus and everybody else. So there could be some gamesmanships too. There could be some gamesmanship. I'm not 100% sure that it was just doing it because normally you would do it the way I did it, which is I did it where after the match I congratulate. I mean, I didn't actually say it, but I shook hands and I was obviously Alireza won the match fair and square. What, bishop f3?
Bishop takes f3. What is this?
Yeah, bishop f3 and knight c6.
You have to take with the g pawn, otherwise the rook on e1. I think he just missed this. Oh yeah, he doesn't look happy. Actually, he does look happy. Never mind. He does look happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think what I would say is that you never really know. It's you never really know with Hans what exactly is going on. So I was mildly surprised, but at the same time, I mean, I've seen enough of him over the last few years. I've seen things he said. He can say things, do things one way, and then be completely different. So it didn't completely shock me.
Do you feel like he just PR adjusts his responses, his interviews and whatnot, depending on the situation he's in, depending on how many matches he's won or lost? Do you feel that's the case?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for Hans. He put out a pretty nicely worded tweet yesterday. I would say that. We'll see whether that's really him or not. Who knows? I mean, I think really the big test of whether this is legit or not is whenever he wins another game or he wins a match, is he going to actually say something and be gracious, or are we going to get more of the I'm better than everybody else and I'm the best in the world stuff again? So I mean, time will tell. But I'm not going to speak for him because I don't know what's going through his mind.
This is a crucial game right here with 2 minutes left on the match clock. Alireza desperately looking to get it back within 2. What do you make of his chances as f4 is given a double question mark?
Well, I can take
knight d4, because there's knight d4 and queen e1. There's queen takes rook on e1. That's why you have queen e1. After rook c1, you have queen e1.
Queen e1, queen takes e1, knight f3. Very nicely spotted. Yes.
And actually, you can't move the king. You can't move the king because of queen c6. It's actually very tricky.
Yep.
This is huge for Alireza if he can win this. Because if he were to draw or lose, I'm already feeling like he's not feeling good, and he's probably very down on himself. But if he's able to win this game, he's going to be feeling very good going to 3-1 at least. So it's not over.
Do you feel winning a game before the break can sometimes, help switch? Do you feel like there is particular weight on a final game of a segment?
Oh, absolutely. Because like when I lost a game like to Hans, that final game of the 5-1, I really was I was ready to play the 3-1 immediately. Like I was just ready to start the next game and move on instantly. I think that if you're on a good roll going to the break though, you feel much more confident. I felt like against Alireza, did I win the last game of the 5-1? I don't remember, but I know I did well at the start of the 3-1. I think I won the first game or something like that. So I mean, I think momentum plays a role, especially because the breaks are not super short. I think it's a 15-minute break, if I'm not mistaken, between the next segments. So I would say that it just depends, but it's better to win a game here, especially for Alireza, who's been getting smoked here. When you start losing game after game after game, if you can get to the break with a win in the final game to stop the momentum, you're going to feel good.
Are you a bit surprised Magnus switched from d4 and trying to exploit the King's Indian to e4 and playing the Olapin?
It's a little bit surprising, but I think Magnus feels like he wants to test Alireza in a different opening right now. And then like I bet next game he'll go back to d4, by the way. I think he'll go back to d4 next game, and then when Alireza plays Nimzo, he'll switch to e4. But I think he also wants to see whether Alireza is going to play e5 or c5 on move 1.
Do you feel he wanted to get this information before the 3+1 section begins?
Probably, but also it's very double-edged because like Alireza is behind by a lot, so he's not going to play solid. Like he's going to play aggressively here. So it's like if Alireza, let's just say, wins 3 games in a row, he might go back to e4, e5. Like the match situation or the score dictates a lot in terms of what the players are going to do here.
This game is far from over, though. What do you do here? Do you trade queens, take on f4?
This is tricky. Why do I get the sense Magnus is somehow going to survive this game now?
Yeah.
This is actually very tricky. What are you supposed to do?
Probably take on d1 and rook c2. Just try to go for bishop c5.
Taking rook c2. Yeah, with rook d7, bishop c5, and just go for it. Not easy to play, though. Not easy to find.
Probably he's going to take on f4. It seems much more natural, right? Keep the queens on board.
Yeah, to play against the weak white king. But we'll see. We'll see.
Also, people are getting some chances.
Yeah, so people are asking some questions just about events and things. I'll be in St. Louis for the 960, as everybody knows. Or actually, I'll be in London first for the Global Chess League. Then there's the 960 in St. Louis. And then, assuming it happens, I'll probably be playing a match against Faustino Oro in Buenos Aires in November. And then then maybe World Rapid and Blitz in New York at the end of the year. But that's probably my schedule.
And you will be playing something that surprised me. Hans mentioned in his interview yesterday that he got an invite to the freestyle chess event, which you will be taking part in as well, I believe.
In February, yes. I mean, I don't know whether that's clear or not. I heard that, but it wasn't 100% sure. It was not 100% clear to me whether that's actually the case. But regardless,
you mean the invite or?
Well, I thought they already had set field. I was under the impression that all the wild cards had already been invited. But like I said, who knows? Who knows? So yeah, what I was gonna say though is, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say something. I forgot what I was gonna say.
About your schedule, maybe your upcoming events.
Wait a second. What's going on here? Rook f1.
Maybe rook c5. Try to.
Rook f1, rook c5, queen e8, and you might have to make a draw. Very tricky position here.
Like check and queen e7, maybe.
Bishop e2. Oh, that's a nice move. Queen b4, king f1, I guess. Although queen b4, maybe there's even queen f5.
Oof.
Which could be crazy. Because queen e1, you have bishop f1. Or king g2. Both moves look fine.
Yeah.
Very tricky.
That's a nice one.
So, what was I going to say? was gonna say something, I forget what. But yeah, that's my schedule at least. Yeah, I don't know about what Hans is saying or not saying. But you know, it is what it is.
Are you going to play the freestyle chess? Speaking of tournaments, the new tour organized by Magnus and the German billionaire.
I have no idea what the situation is. I mean, I don't know what I should say or not say about it. I mean, I think the one thing I'll say, I don't see any reason I can't say this, is that it's being billed as Magnus's tour, but he is not directly involved with it in the way that it's being promoted. I do want to say it's not like they're day-to-day decisions and he's making those. He's not, even though his name is very heavily attached to the event. I don't think there's anything wrong with me saying that. I mean, I suspect some people know that already, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that tour. I don't actually hold out really high hopes. I don't think Fischer Random is the future of chess. I'm just going to be honest. I think that for someone who's a casual fan, who's following the game, by the way, I think Magnus is completely safe here. For casual fans who follow the game, I think it's incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to follow 960. I think one of the great draws or allures of chess is the great history around all the openings of Spanish, the Italian, the Night-Order, the King's Indian, whatever it might be, hundreds of years of history. And so I'm not sure that I really believe in that vision that Fischer Random is the future of the game. I'm kind of skeptical of that. Still, as I've said many times, I think all these initiatives are a push in the right direction. I think trying to do things differently is what is needed if we're trying to make chess more popular or to grow the game. So it should be interesting to see what the general reception is. By the way, it looks like Magnus somehow is better now even.
Wow.
But my general view about okay, this is going to be a draw. Yeah, my general view is that it's something different, so there is potential, but we just have to wait and see what happens.
And speaking of growing the game, and obviously you talk about jealousy and how that is going to basically stop the growth. Talk a little bit about the event in Paris. Obviously the fans. You talked about it in the first couple of days, and you were saying that you're not sure. How do you feel right now at the end of everything?
I feel pretty good with my result. I mean, it's. I can maybe complain a little bit and say I didn't play my best against Alireza, but he deserved to win. He played better than me. There were a lot of little things he did on top of the fact that he was just better. I mean, the time usage, making great moves with seconds. So I can't really be unhappy with that. And then, I mean, I think I just destroyed Hans, which was really quite nice because, you know, a lot of people will say things and you can bluster, but you know, it's one thing to talk about chess, but when you resort to a lot of like personal insults, and you start acting like you're better than everyone else, when I think most people in the chess world knew he wasn't. I mean, there are plenty of people outside the chess world on the fringes who I think actually believe some of the stuff he was saying, but it's very clear that he's not at that level. And to beat him the way I did was really, really, really nice because it was just good to prove a point. And I'm pretty happy, pretty happy overall. I'm not going to say that I'm not happy. I mean, I'm unhappy that I didn't win by a bigger margin because I should have. I should have won by a bigger margin, but you know, it is what it is.
We are gonna go on a break. Will you stick around afterwards?
I think I'm gonna go and enjoy my evening. It's my last night here in France. You know, one thing actually that I would say is whether it's like this event or the actually no, I think it's specific to this event because the Chess Champions or the Chess Champions Tour final in Toronto over the past couple of years, it is more like a full week that you're there. But I feel like with this event, if Chess.com wants to run it in person going forward, I think they should just do the whole thing all at once over the course of like 1 week. Just do all the matches in person versus having us come here for the final. Because really, it's a little bit awkward to show up. I mean, I came a few days early, but most people I think arrived on like Wednesday evening or even maybe Thursday. And it's literally like you're here for 3 or 4 days. You play 2 matches and that's it. And it feels a little bit too short, in my opinion. So I would hope that if Chess.com wants to do this in the future, they'll just have all the matches in person, and I think that would make it more accessible as well for the fans, and maybe for Chess.com they could, you know, you can sell more tickets that way too. So probably a net win for them, but you know, it's just a little bit too short. So I'm going to go out, try to enjoy my last evening here in Paris. I mean, I think for myself, it's been quite nostalgic being back in Paris because today I did go out for a walk with my wife, went to the Eiffel Tower, took a cruise on the river, and there's this one bridge with like Fiona, you probably know this bridge. It's got like the gold. It's got like the gold stuff. What is it? What is that bridge?
The Louis, is it? It's one of the kings. Louis XV, maybe. Let me see.
It's got like the gold, like the horse type things, and it's got the plaque. I mean, they mentioned it when I was on the cruise, but I wasn't listening very closely. Someone in chat's got to know what that is. Is it Pont? They say it's Pont Neuf. Let me see if that's correct.
Pont Neuf, yes, that is the one.
Is that it?
I think so.
No, is that? No, that's not. It's a bridge. It's a bridge with like gold horses and things. That's not it. Is that? No, it's like a bridge with gold horses. It's not the Louis Vuitton bridge. But thank you guys. That's a good one. No, it's got like the gold horses. It's got like the gold horses. What is it? I'm just googling too, as people can probably tell. No, it's got like the it's got like the
Pont
golden
Alexandre III.
Is that?
I think I got it.
Okay.
I googled literally Paris Bridge Golden Horse.
Yes, yes, actually, yeah. That is right. Yeah. That's right. So So the reason I bring that up and like being nostalgic is back when I played here in 2019. I don't remember exactly which hotel we were staying at, but I remember seeing that bridge. I'm not sure who went over it. Who went over one of the bridges near it, but I remember seeing that bridge basically every day back when I played the Grand Chess Tour, and so it was kind of really nostalgic because 2019 was such a different time for me. I mean, I was in a much more unhappy place in life, just in general back then versus now, and of course, so much has happened, pandemic and afterwards. So it's been very nostalgic, but I'm just trying to enjoy it. Hopefully they'll hold this event again. I mean, if there's one thing I would say is I do hope also though that they find a venue with more capacity for fans. It felt like there were only like 40 or 50 fans at most in the actual arena. It feels like if you're really trying to make it the true fan experience, you should do it somewhere a little bit bigger. But nonetheless, I think it's been a great event, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit.
Let's sell the AT&T arena in Vegas.
Yes, well, I mean, let's do that. But I mean, chess.com tried to do that, and then sure, I'm not gonna say that. But anyway, they tried to do that for the Magnus match, and then it all collapsed. Let's not say anything more. But they tried to do that already, and yeah. But anyway, that's good for now. So,
Hikaru, we appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us. Enjoy the last night in Paris, and we'll catch you very soon.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks, you guys, and I'll see everybody very, very soon. I'll be back on Tuesday for Title Tuesday for anyone who's wondering. I'll be traveling tomorrow. I'm back on Tuesday, so I'll see you guys then. Have a good one, everybody.
See you, Hikaru.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And guys, we are gonna go on a break as well. We'll be right back for the 3+1, where Alireza has a tough hill to climb. We'll see you very soon. Welcome back, everyone, to the final of the Speed Chess Championship. And Christian, Alireza, he got off to a good start. He even took the lead, but then he lost 4 in a row, and he's now trailing by 3 points.
Absolutely, yes. And he should have won and could have won the last game of the 5+1. Definitely a dagger towards his heart, because he had it out of the opening, winning position with the black pieces. And what an important victory that would have been. Unfortunately for him, it's Magnus Carlsen. He's resilient, and he's going to fight all the way until the end, especially when he's feeling good. And right now he's feeling good.
He is feeling good. He's sticking to 1e4 for now, not wanting to find out if Alireza is gonna...
No, Magnus is black. Magnus is black.
Oh.
Yes, we're back to watching it from Magnus's perspective, just because he's leading with such authority. If that makes sense.
That is a good point. Okay, so we get another Italian.
We're keeping you on your toes. We're keeping the audience on their toes. We have to keep everybody on their toes.
Oh god. Okay, so Alireza starts with the white pieces.
Yes.
And okay, very early doors in this Italian, but the black bishop is on e7, so something slightly different from what we've seen most of the days.
Yes, absolutely. And we see Magnus spend some time. Alireza playing fast now. We see knight b8 and knight b6, most likely. Knight d7, knight b6 is the plan. Try to target the pawn on d5. Now he can also try to figure things out and maybe open the center via c6. c6, but that would open my light square bishop. And of course, what Alireza wants is to do something with the advantages that he has, and that is the two bishops. Nevertheless, Magnus says, look, I'm going to open up your bishop, but I'm immediately closing it back with d5.
Yeah, and I don't know how much I like this. I mean, the bishop drops back, anticipating d5. I guess the bishop in the long term is gonna try and go back to b1 and play along that diagonal, maybe.
Yes, most likely that's what he's trying to do. At the same time, you know, b1, it's such an ugly spot, and
Yeah,
whenever
the
you go
problem is if
d4, I
you
go e4.
e4, yeah.
Exactly. I'm closing up the bishop no matter where you place it.
I like Magnus's position. Alireza looks a little bit deflated, you know. I think this losing 4 in a row for a player of his caliber is tough. Hopefully he can strap in. I really had high hopes for a close, exciting match. So I hope he can get back a few. Hikaru, big words, sees Alireza as a favorite in the bullet. So what Alireza needs to do, he needs to keep it close. He doesn't have to, you know, make up the entire deficit in the 3+1, but he can't afford to lose too many games.
The big question is, does Alireza sees himself as the favorite in the bullet section? That is the big question, especially with the trend obviously favoring Magnus. You can easily start doubting yourself and your capabilities, and even in the 1+1, which he knows he's so good at. But also Magnus is really good at 1+1 also. I mean, let's not forget, he's one of the best players. Maybe, as Hikaru just mentioned, he is the third best in the world, at least according to Hikaru. And to be honest, a lot of pundits out there see Alireza as the favorite in the bullet portion. But will Alireza also consider it the same and see himself as the favorite in the bullet section? If not, then he's going to try to catch up more aggressively in the 3+1 section, which will in return open up possibilities for Magnus to score more victories.
I think this one is already a crucial game. I know it's the first one of the 3+1, but you really don't want to get off to a losing start, especially with the white pieces. Alireza, of course, he is fighting, but Magnus, I mean, this position is great. How do you play though with black? Do you kick the queen out from c8?
To be honest, I go h6. If I would be Magnus, I would just simply go h6. Just because I have ideas of d4 at the right moment to try to put more pressure on the dark square bishop. And then I don't want to see any bishop g5. I also don't want to see knight to g5 and maybe some action coupled with the bishop on b3 against f7. So these are the type of ideas that go through my head right now.
Magnus has been spending a long time on this position, goes for my rook c8, kicking out the queen, but the computer did not approve and thinks the position is now even. How do you deal with the pawn on b5 though?
Maybe, to be honest, maybe you're going to lose that pawn. But I think right now what he needs to do is go a d4. Try to go rook c1. Okay, so he's giving up the pawn and he's perhaps trying to fight for some compensation via the 7th rank. So rook takes b5, maybe some bishop to a4 first, or maybe rook a7 followed by bishop a4, and put pressure on the 7th rank. I think this is what Alireza is looking for.
Look at the time situation, 45 seconds for Magnus, 30 seconds. This one is going to heat up very, very soon.
That's close. That's close. Rook a5, I think it's important. Rook b7 is the easy move to make, but after bishop c6, you might be in trouble. So go rook to a5 if you are Magnus. 30 seconds each. How do you see this one play out, Fiona?
I still think Magnus is a favorite. I think Alireza, you know, will need to try to hold on, but I think time, huge factor here. Three results possible. If you're white, you take on a5.
And then maybe some g3, just play some quiet moves like that. Say that, ooh, rook to b1. That's very counterintuitive, especially for human nature, to just sit and wait and say that, look, you don't have any useful moves as black. But this, ooh, g4. And I was saying that You just simply cannot wait as a human, and perhaps the right
Wow.
move. H6, H4. Alireza wants to displace this knight from F6.
The moves are coming in fast. Alireza wants to keep rooks on the board, but this pin looks really annoying.
Yeah, G4, and right now G4 becomes a very weakening spot that Magnus is going to exploit. Knight D2, Knight C5. Now the knight is coming to F4 or to B4. That's another pawn to the good. This
And
is a
that's a
technical
big
win for
pawn.
Magnus if he manages to convert.
I
And
mean, with this,
who's better at conversion than Magnus? Is there anybody better? Let's see.
Trick
Let's wait and see.
question. Okay, let's see. Bishop C1.
Alireza
I
is
think
fighting.
yeah, if he can hold this one, it's absolutely huge.
H5. They're both playing with 3 seconds on the clock.
We're getting a
Whoa.
first glimpse of,
Knight
you know,
F5.
Magnus was saying he's more guessing when he's down 2 seconds, while Alireza seems to be more clear. And are we seeing that unfold here?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Perhaps Alireza will save this one. He's looking primed to do so.
Down only a pawn now. Those that
Take one of the knights. Take one of the knights out.
I would be so terrified as white here against
Me
the
too.
2 knights.
Me too. Me too. I would have exchanged that bishop for the knight in an instant.
And now
Okay.
Magnus is not gonna make it easy for him.
No, Magnus is pushing. These knights. I mean, look at these knights. That's it.
Oh
That's
my
another pawn.
God.
He's gonna
What
take
did
it.
the king go to do? What?
Oh. Oh my goodness. You know, sometimes this endgame is actually winning.
Yeah, but I think here the pawn is not. Is it not when the pawn is on the edge of the board? Because then you can stop it more easily.
So
So
basically,
basically, guys, with 2 knights you cannot win. So what Alireza will try to do is give up the pawn. If he can give up the pawn,
and that's why Magnus keeps the knight on F4. He's trying to push Alireza's king to the corner. And by the way, he's winning now. This is winning right now.
but I mean the computer sees it easily, but for human, the
King
king
C2,
is in a bit
yes,
of a net. I
yes.
mean, it's very unpleasant.
He's going to push the king. Oh my goodness, this is a clinical masterpiece if he wins this one.
Let me
Oh my
go. I'm gonna go and try and see what was the move. What move number did we start at?
The king escaped. The king escaped. Now it's a
Oh,
draw.
no.
Now it's a draw again. Oh my goodness, he was so close. He was
Unbelievable.
so close.
And,
Yeah,
I think
now
by
the
the
king
time I find the game,
escaped.
the game will be over.
Yeah, because I
Okay.
think at the 50 move rule, they're probably just going to
Yeah.
reset.
Just as I opened the game, finally.
You
Too
found
late.
it. You found
I
it.
did find it. It took me, like 2 minutes too long, but okay, I
Magnus
think that was
is
a
smiling.
hugely important save for Alireza. And what was the opening?
I don't
Oh,
remember.
we're back to the
Oh,
King's
this one
Indian.
was the King's Indian. Yes, I thought you were asking me the
Yeah.
previous game. I think it was a Choco Piano, but I'm not sure.
It was, yeah, with Bishop E7. I am shocked that that Alireza is sticking. Hikaru seemed certain he was gonna move away from the King's Indian, but he is being stubborn. Very stubborn.
And Hikaru kind of understood the psychological problems that he might be facing as well. And one of them being that he feels he needs to get back into the match. So he feels he needs to play aggressive openings, which once again, in return, is probably going to backfire. Or at least it has been backfiring up to this point.
I mean, we do get something slightly different again, but it's just tough. It's so tough, for me, the King's Indian, as I mentioned before in opening, that I feel if you've never played it, I have no experience with black or white, it's so difficult to assess because I know the computer often misevaluates it. but here, I
Yeah.
mean,
No, it's very tricky because in the critical moments is going to go down to the wire between my attack on the king side and your attack on the queen side, and it's going to be a matter of tempies. So that's basically. Oh, by the way, wait a minute. Are there some tactics involved right now? How do you defend? Take bishop to h3. Sorry, but I think Alireza is in big trouble. I think he just missed this.
queen f6 was just a blunder. If you lose, the problem is it's not just a pawn, but
This is probably
everything
one of the most
collapses.
important pawns.
Yeah.
Because then I get access to the e4 square as well. Then I get an attack on the light squares against your king. This is actually just might be over. Knight takes e4 right now.
We might, I think we'll see probably a quick resignation here. Magnus, if he converts this one, moves to a 4-point lead, and Alireza hasn't won a game since, I think, game 4 of this match.
It's been a while,
His
yes.
confidence must be taking a serious hit right now.
Yes, and to be honest, he did have a better position, was unable to convert that one, got swindled by Magnus. So yes, definitely the momentum, the energy, the vibe is all in Magnus's favor right now. By the way, bishop to e6 is a problem. The fact that you lost the pawn is a problem. And there's another huge problem in the position, and that is you no longer have a knight on d7 to cover up this diagonal. So bishop to b2 is going to come with devastating consequences.
I'm struggling to see something in black's position, which isn't a problem right now.
Yes, and now just bishop b2. Exchange the bishop, pick up another pawn. That's going to be 2 pawns to the good with a weakened king. So yeah, this is all Magnus right now.
I think, okay, surely this has to be the last King's Indian we saw. It's just he's lost the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 games.
He must change something. And he
must.
resigns. He
Yeah.
resigns. He must change something right now before it's too late.
I'm curious to see the next game. Magnus is feeling the music right now. He's feeling good. He has a 4-point lead. We go back to this. Italian, last time something went a little bit wrong for Alireza. I don't know what, but Magnus equalized so easily. So I think Alireza will have to play it slightly differently.
The same line. This time with a pawn on a3, not on a4. That was the difference in the previous one. Knight to d7, and Magnus chooses not c6, but rather knight d7 this time. Knight d7 and knight to b6. d4. So we see some... Look, Alireza still should trust the Gioco piano. Why not? I mean, you probably don't have anything else prepared. You've been playing the Gioco or the Gucci piano, however you want to call it. You've been playing it throughout the weekend. So things have been going out quite well for you. You've trained it at home. Continue playing it. But he needs to switch something when it comes to his black pieces.
Yeah, and the problem is, well, Hikaru was thinking the Nimzo has a reputation for being very solid. The problem is that, you know, do you really want to play something very solid when you're down 4? So
now
I'm
you're
sure
down
you-
4. That's a big problem. Look, every single point counts. Sure, maybe Alireza will be able to catch up a couple of points during the blitz portion, but how many? 4? I don't think so. I don't think so. Magnus is still extremely good. Maybe you're going to be able to best him by an inch, but not by 4 points. So he needs to score some victories right now.
Computer likes his position here, suggests f3 to open up things there in the center. Queen e2 instead. Yeah, I was wondering, could he be thinking about going queenside?
Maybe. The problem is, do you actually have an attack on the king side? Because I'm already set up with these pawns on a6 and b5, already set up to break your king side, your queen side in case you go castle. So It's a big decision for Alireza. Right now he decides against it, bishop g5. But yeah, now the problem
Again,
is
this pawn on d5 is such a weakness. Yeah.
I think he's...
I mean, will he take on f6?
But if you take, then I just simply
No,
take.
yeah.
How do you defend d4? And then we see, you know, the opposite color bishops. And the big question whenever you see opposite color bishops is whose bishop is more active? And if you compare the bishop on f6 with the bishop on a2, you get that answer quite quickly. The bishop on a2 is complete garbage.
Yep.
c3. Now he's trying to activate it, but I can go bishop g5, you go bishop b1, I go f5. I don't think you have time to take on e4 after bishop
Yeah,
g5.
this king, I mean, that king needs to get away from e1. I think Alireza has been investing a lot of time. He's keeping his options open, but he will have to make up his mind very, very soon.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I think
we
right
see...
now it's time. You have to go one way or another. Which one is it gonna be?
A rook to... ooh! No, 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 no. No, this does not work. I can just move my bishop, g4, g5 or h4, and then you cannot stop me from playing f5.
What's his idea? I mean, he must
I guess he wants to go g4 like a maniac. That's typical Alireza. He just wants to stop everything with g4. Oh my goodness. It was not working. But Magnus decided to go for bishop takes d4.
He says, I will play f5, whether you want it or not. There's no stopping me.
And he gets it. He gets it.
Okay, but now we have a different. Now it's not the bishop on a2 versus the bishop on a6. The bishop on a2 is still not a great piece, but neither is the knight on b6 right now. So this seems a little bit more even. If anything, I kind of like Alireza with the pressure along the c-file.
Yes. Yes. Right now it's looking much better for Alireza. Bishop on a2, scuffed. But also, the knight on b6, not as amazing, right? And if you try to, let's say, go knight c8 and get it back into the game, then I can get my bishop back into the game as well, because then the knight is not going to take on d5. And Alireza...
Okay, now I
E6.
really like what he's doing, and the black king is starting to feel a little bit airy. h5 is coming. I don't think there's any stopping that.
I think Alireza is looking really good right now. He's in a great position to try to get one back. Let's see if he manages to do so. d5, I have queen c3. You cannot go queen f6 because of queen takes c7, so you have huge problems.
I'm shocked he didn't play d5. The d5 to me seemed like kind of an automatic move.
Bit of a surprise for me as well. Queen to f4.
But e6?
Wait. What? What? Take the... He's not taking. Okay, queen d6 is fine as well.
Yeah, I mean, we could have had a defended passed pawn on e6. I am absolutely shocked that he allowed Magnus to go d5, and now Magnus is fine. I could even see Magnus taking over in this one. By the way, time, both players down to 24 seconds.
And you see Alireza, some signs of frustration right now. You can see it on his face. He's not happy with the way this match is going, and with the way his reactions are reacting. I was about to say, but that's kind of the situation that he's finding himself in. He's not playing his natural chess right now. He's doubting his decisions too much.
And he's under 10 seconds. We need a move. King f1, stopping the check on e1.
Queen f7, perhaps.
Yeah, I like queen f7. Just keep everything under control.
Should still be a draw.
Has an extra pawn. Alireza can take one back. He takes h5.
Knight c4. Okay. 4 seconds for both. If Magnus manages to hide his king, then he's in a much better position. He might actually win this.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, he might actually just win this. And if he does, that's a 5-point deficit.
I mean,
the c-pawn is running.
Pawns are so close.
The c-pawn is running. Yep. Who's first?
What? Yeah, what a mess.
Go G6. Check. Oh my goodness. You cannot give a check because of queen to d4. Unbelievable. Queen to d4 was winning on the spot. There has to be a
Now
mate,
what?
right? There has to be a
There
mate.
must be a mate.
Where's the mate?
surely. But
Oh,
king
there's
G,
the mate.
queen G5. Oh,
He got it. That's it. He
but
resigned.
where was the mate? Couldn't he play queen G5?
Queen g5, queen takes g5, and then I give you a check on the
Ah,
g
of
file, and then I
course,
pick up the
of
queen.
course.
Oof.
And that is I've lost
Oof.
track here.
That's 5 points. I think
5
that's
points, yeah.
Is that 5 points?
Yeah, I
No,
think the
four
result-
points. 4 points. 4 points. Let's not exaggerate.
No, 5. I think.
Is it actually 5?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
5 points deficit. Insurmountable. I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I really don't. Yeah. Magnus,
I mean,
99% right now.
Even if he
Got it.
is better in bullet, I mean, the problem is also just you can see from the body language that Alireza, he's so disgusted. I mean, he is really.
I mean,
Yeah,
he knows he was completely not
Yeah.
winning, but he had a great position in the last
Why
game.
not play d5? I mean, I'm really, I'm not one to easily, but it looked so natural. It would have secured this pawn on e6 forever. I think that's where all the trouble started. And sorry, Christian, actually, I wasn't paying attention to the opening. What the heck was this?
Back to d4, but right now we don't have Queen's Gambit. I think it was a Queen's Gambit decline. So finally, we don't see the King's Indian anymore.
That doesn't make this game any less sharp. Magnus, the one to castle queenside. And I think this could get even. I think if Alireza doesn't win a game very soon, this could turn ugly.
Yes. c5, knight is going to get planted on a d6 unless you stop me from doing so with knight e8, which perhaps is the best move. But yeah, you made a very good point. This might turn ugly. 5 points and Magnus doesn't stop. Alireza knows that though. He knows that. He knows the situations where you can get tilted. He has that experience despite the young age. He's been in this type of situations before. He's played a lot of matches, even a lot of matches against Magnus. So he needs to draw that inspiration from his experience and put on his best foot forward.
Yeah, this could possibly be the last game before the short break. I think a short break will do Alireza good. There'll probably actually be, I guess, one more after this, but I think Alireza needs to just, sit down, have a glass of water, whatever, and just, try to get back into the zone, because right now he looks to me like he's just not completely in it. I think he's received this Magnus beatdown, and
Yeah.
you have to recover from that.
Yeah, this was a beatdown. This was certainly a beatdown. Rook to a d2. Okay, let's try to analyze the
He'll be
position.
happy. Yeah, I was gonna say, I think Alireza will be happy to get at least something, double-edged.
It's the two bishops against the knight and the bishop, but at the same time, you do have the two bishops, but your bishop on c8 is a bit off, right? So what you need to do at some point is find a way to get e5 going, and I think this is what he's gunning for. First of all, taking control over d6 square so that no knight d6 is coming, and then maybe at the right moment f5 followed by e5. He plays f5. Okay.
The knight will drop back to c3 or to f2. I kind of.
Do you want to go?
Or forward. I haven't.
You
I
wanna go
haven't
in?
even looked forward.
That's a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a bit dangerous. I don't remember what pill Neo took in the Matrix, but this is the dangerous one. Fiona, did you watch the Matrix?
Yeah.
You still haven't? Oh,
I feel
my
under
goodness.
attack.
this this is the dangerous pill. That's all I can say.
Maybe I have to legally download, of course, the movie before Budapest and
I will quiz you in Budapest.
every day. So, did you watch it yet?
I will have to quiz you.
A3 on the board. I mean, if I'm white, I would get this bishop. I mean, you can't even get it out. I'm so afraid that g4 is coming at some point and my bishop will just be trapped, but Alireza decides to take on f4.
The thing is, once you play g4, you cannot attack my bishop.
Yeah.
And then my bishop, if you compare it to the bishop on c8, is still a better piece. And I will have enough time to go knight c1, knight d3, knight e5.
That is a very good point, but taking with the pawn allows Alireza to capture on g2. And he is up a pawn now.
Alireza needs this
I
one.
don't see a clear compensation for white.
Alireza needs this one. If he doesn't get this one...
I think Alireza also needs to speed up a little bit. He hasn't been able, to put any pressure on Magnus on the clock. We know that he can play very fast, but I think he's had too many games where he just gets down to seconds. And even though he's very good at these spots, you are playing Magnus cards and it's not always going to work. So I think he needs to speed up a little bit. Here once again the player, to spend more time.
And look, he's up a pawn, but it's not easy to convert the advantage because this pawn is not going anywhere, at least not as of right now. And in the meantime, I still have ideas of knight to d3, knight to e5. I have to be careful. I still cannot do those immediately. But if this rook goes to h8, for example, try to support h5, then I go knight d3, knight e5.
I think Alireza is struggling a bit for a plan right now. His moves.
There you go. Now I can go knight d3.
Clear. Yeah.
Immediately, as the bishop's action got curtailed, he jumped to the opportunity and played knight d3, knight e5.
Yeah, and he still has that extra h6 pawn, but it's not going to be easy to hold on to it.
By the way, I can see this go
Turn around
Magnus's way.
Completely. Yeah.
Yes, I can see this. Right now he's still a pawn up, but that's not going to last for long. And then my bishop is going to be better than your bishop. And by the way, queen h4 followed by queen f6 ideas. Yeah.
I mean, both players are just waiting around. I think a draw should be the normal result, as it seems very hard for either side to make progress. Magnus wins a pawn back.
He does. He's going to lose it. He's going to lose f4. Take. Oh, he takes, but now rook d8. How do you defend?
So scary.
Queen c7 probably is the only way to do things. But then I go queen e7.
Oh my god, and Magnus.
And suddenly
Bishop
Magnus is winning.
e6 and he spots it, and that's game over.
Wow. What a turn of events.
A 6-point lead.
And we get another game.
Yeah.
With 30 seconds before the break, we get another game.
Okay, Alireza has to win this one. There's no two ways about it. I think if he doesn't win this one, the match, it's not mathematically over, but I think it's kind of over.
That's 6 points. That is 6 points right now against Magnus Carlsen, the best chess players on the planet, that rarely loses matches, and when he does, they're very contested. To be honest, I don't remember the last time Magnus had a 2-point lead and lost a match.
I know.
Never mind a 6-point lead.
And look at Alireza. I mean, he just looks a little bit gone right now. It feels like, I don't know, sometimes, you play a match and you just feel like, what can I do? He's just beating me from any kinds of positions, and I really didn't expect this, I have to say. Alireza, his play against Hikaru was so impressive. So I'm not sure, is Alireza in worse shape, or is this just, prime Magnus?
Good question. We always have those type of questions whenever we see this type of lopsided matches against what normally on paper are very close players, right? Close to each other in terms of strength. But right now, Magnus is making Alireza look like a novice. And that's just the way it feels. That's the way it looks. And that's what everybody's going to report after a match. Alireza was not himself. Alireza did not play his best chess. But maybe it's Magnus that's just finding the best moves at the critical moments and taking this match in his direction.
Yeah, I mean, he has spotted almost every crucial move. He hasn't made any blunders. So the fact, he said before the match he didn't feel great, didn't sleep great, but as I said, that's not always going to be reflected on the board necessarily.
I don't even know if I believe Magnus. I think he's just playing. He's just playing games.
Could be, yeah.
I mean, I've heard him say this type of things before. Yeah, I didn't feel good. I don't feel good. My mind is a mess. My brain is frozen. And then goes on and obliterates whoever he plays against, finding the best moves in a matter of seconds. I don't know. I don't know what to believe.
But Alireza, he has a good position here.
When hasn't he in the last few games?
With the white, especially with the white pieces, he's been getting good positions, but he's just failed to convert anything. I think at this point it's not just the chess skill, but I think it's the confidence as well. I think every time suddenly when you get a good position, you get this deja vu of like, oh God, I can't mess it up this time, and the pressure mounts and mounts, and yeah, already the advantage is dwindling.
Yeah. Again, look, I'm seeing this pawn on e3. I can see ways in which Magnus is going to turn things around, despite the fact that he's right now a pawn down, perhaps. But a dynamic position in which he's feeling good. Whoa! Did you see Magnus's reaction?
Oh yeah, what happened there?
I'm not sure. He looked a bit surprised by something.
Yeah.
Don't know surprised by what.
Okay, I guess we won't know. The rooks are off the board. I mean, Magnus still has that bishop on b2 is a beast.
I don't think he's going to lose this one. I'm just going to go on a limb.
Fighting against that bishop. Yeah, I mean, Alireza, of course, has to try to hold on to his d5 pawn, so I don't know, queen
takes f6, maybe queen takes c7. Is that a move that you can play? Probably not, because of queen check on a d4. And then if you go h1, queen a1. If you go rook f2, rook f8, go back, and then queen a1 finishes the game. So I think queen c7, queen d4, that's a poison pawn. You cannot take it.
So what do you do instead? I would probably just play a move like h3 or something.
Rook e4. Keeping an eye on d4. Rook f8. Be careful. There's a checkmate threat. Whoa! Oh, this is game over. And rook f2. Game, set, match is 7 points. 7 points out of nowhere. Alireza is like, how am I missing these things? How am I missing this type of tactics that I dream about? I find in a matter of seconds. How am I missing them right now?
Yeah, I have no idea. I doubt Alireza can come back, but he's gonna have to really mix things up here. I mean, he's down 7 points. Wasn't he leading 2.5, 1.5 in the beginning?
Yep.
And
that was the last moment he was leading.
And then he scored 1 point out of the next 10 games?
Yeah, 9-1. 9-1 in the last however many games. Since 2.5 to 1.5, Magnus scored a 9-1 difference. That's huge. That's unbelievable.
Guys, we are gonna go on a short break. The players return in 5 minutes for the final segment of the 3+1. We'll be back then, and we'll catch you on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone, to the remainder of the 3+1 portion. And Magnus has a 7-point lead in the match. Christian, in the chat, Jeff is saying, somehow I think this is not over yet. What are your own thoughts?
we should we should try to keep it exciting, make it sound like this is going to be a big comeback. I don't see it, Fiona. I really don't see it. I mean, Magnus is just too good. Magnus is just too good, and Alireza is running out of time. That's the problem.
He needs a couple of wins very, very soon. He is sticking. We're back once again in the King's Indian.
Yeah, surprisingly so.
I mean, Magnus must be very happy to see this, I imagine.
Yes. I mean, look, I don't think there's any emotions necessarily attached to what the choice of opening is going to be from Alireza, but surely Magnus is happy with this. It's happy with the name, so it doesn't really matter. Things have been going very well for him in every single line. But of course, if he wants to get more victories, put the stamp of dominance on this match even more, then he's going to encourage Alireza to play risky chess. Come on, Alireza, risk it even more. Keep going.
Last time Alireza kind of lost this all-important e5 pawn, or the e5 pawn. This time, okay, at least it's looking like an attack.
Yes, definitely seems like there's an attack brewing, but this came at the expense of a pawn. So what Alireza did was gave away the a4 pawn. He was like, okay, spend some tempies, play knight takes a4, knight back to c3. In the meantime, I'm going to try to push my pawns on the king side, try to get the attack going. That's what he's doing right now. Knight to g4, perhaps we're going to see. Oh, and Magnus is like, look, you want to make a draw? Let's move. No problem. We can make a draw. I'm okay with that.
I'm also okay with that. The score is now 11-4. No more half digits.
That's your favorite.
That was an interesting decision. Alireza maybe felt like, okay, I don't fancy my chances in this. I am down a pawn and I don't think I have enough compensation. Let me try again. He still has time. It's just, you know, if he wasn't playing Magnus Carlsen, I think the situation would be different.
He was worse at that point. Alireza was worse at the same time. Given the score, I guess he could have tried for more, but you know, he better takes his chances right now with the white pieces.
And what do you make of what he's gotten with white?
Should we switch it? We've been watching it from Magnus's perspective.
It.
Let's go back to Alireza. Come on. Since we switched it...
Make it close. At least give us a little bit of intrigue.
I know, right? Since we switched it to Magnus, it feels like Magnus got a new boost of energy. Let's try to give it back to Alireza. Knight f1. Let's see. Obviously, it's a typical Briar, typical Ruy Lopez Briar. White has the space advantage, but black has a very stable pawn structure, very stable position right now. It's the battle between the weaknesses. White is going to try to focus on d6. Black is going to try to force an attack against e4.
And again, the problem, Magnus just so experienced in these positions, and well, right now there is pressure. The pawn on e4 is under attack. How do you defend it?
f3, but f3 always weakens the dark squares.
So ugly.
And then I can just simply go d5. Yeah, no, this is... I actually think that Magnus probably already got a slightly better position.
Yeah, because
f6.
after h6 you have to give up the bishop, and well, the question remains. Maybe queen f3, queen d3.
Now I can go back. Knight d7 followed by knight c5. I can also just simply go rook to c8, activate my last piece in the position. The queen already can be considered somewhat active, right? Ready to go to b6, ready to go to a5.
And then I guess he will jump to f5 with the knight from d4.
From
I thought
d4,
the other
yes,
knight,
yes.
yeah, so the knight keeps protecting g3.
Rook c8, maybe knight f5, and then follow that with rook to d1. He goes for queen b6. Okay, okay. Queen b6. Now, the big question is, how do I get my attack going? Lacking dark square bishop, so knight f5. I'm not going to have any sort of bishop takes h6 sacrifices, things of that nature to open up the king side. He decides to go rook to d1.
Make it a bit slower. Remember, d6 is another, well, the main weakness in the black position. So maybe rook d8 looks like a natural move here. And now, okay, all our pieces, I think knight f5 surely has to happen at some point, right?
There we go. There we go. We finally got it. Now I think you have to, or at least you should probably strive to achieve d5. You can start with g6 also. But g6 is a bit dangerous. And as I was saying that, he goes for it. Knight h4. Don't allow me to take on g5. That's why he didn't play bishop g7, because there was a pin. But now d5, perfectly timed for Magnus. And how do you defend? Okay, now you actually have some problems.
Now it's looking dangerous. Looks like knight e4 by Magnus was a mistake, and Alireza has to strike in this one.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win this one, I think it's actually over. Just because psychologically, you know, Alireza knows, maybe not that it's winning, and it might not be winning. Knight f5?
Knight f5, and how do you continue after that? So let's say you go king to g8, probably you just simply go e6, right?
Yeah.
Oh, knight d6 and queen takes g6. You take,
nice.
Stopping the defense of the queen on b6. Bishop takes d6 is going to be met with queen takes g6. And Magnus resigns. Alireza finally. Okay. We have to watch it from Alireza's perspective. We switched it and he got his victory. I'm sorry, Alireza.
I think not.
I'm sorry, Alireza. I mean, what have we done to you? I cannot believe we switched up on you like that. Oh,
well, you're the one winning a drink in this whole business. You knew what you were doing, Christian. Don't act so innocent.
That's true. That is true. That is true. Oh my goodness, what did we do to him? Okay. Alireza with the black pieces. What is it now? 6 points difference, right? Or is
6
it 7?
points, yeah.
6 points difference. Okay.
I think, you know, if he can, well, I was gonna say get it back within, 4 before the bullet, but even that, the thing is, there was only 17 minutes left already. This 3+1 just flew by. And
yes.
At least Alireza hasn't really been getting any chances with black, or at least not that I remember. So that is a problem, right? If you're struggling every time with black, and then, the white games are very far from an automatic win. So something, maybe he needs to also just use the clock a bit more, which is easy for me to say, right? Just play faster, Alireza.
Is easy, and that's the problem. Yeah, it's easier said than done. It's easy for us, obviously, to comment on the games and to give advice to Alireza, but in the heat of the battle, this task is so monumentally difficult. Because there's the pressure, there's the obvious skill level that Magnus brings to the table, but it's also the speed. Magnus plays extremely fast as well. He does not allow you to create any separation in terms of the
Especially
clock.
today, he's felt so confident, and I think when Magnus is feeling confident and he can just kind of rely on his intuition, he's feeling good. I mean, it's just the scariest beast the chess world has ever seen, basically.
Yeah. Rook to e1. Okay, so, and look at the clock. 2 minutes 22, 1 minute 50.
But
Magnus...
for once, the engine kind of likes Alireza, which is something. What does he have to do?
Knight takes d4, but you remember what Hikaru said at some point, commenting on, the fact that Kramnik was saying he didn't play optimal or he wasn't impressive. it's not about, let's say, the accuracy of the moves all the time. It's a mix between the accuracy of the moves, but also the practicality of them.
Oh,
And this is,
huge moment here.
yeah, bishop g7, defend the knight, and then the bishop doesn't come back.
And he finds it. Christian!
Two in a
Since we
row.
started flipping the board, it's all happening.
He's coming back. He's alive. He's
Oh.
alive. Oh my goodness.
So what's he has two pieces for rook and a pawn, yeah? And the pieces are good. I mean, this bishop pair is looking very, very mighty. Magnus, not happy. I think he just missed bishop g7, maybe? I'm not sure.
He definitely missed bishop g7, yes. Okay, Magnus realizes, all right, I cannot do what I did against Hans when I let Hans win like 5 in a row, I think. So it's time to get back into it. Let's finish this one, but it's time to get back into it.
It was very different as well, right? Because it was the very end of the match. The match was in the bag. But here, I don't know. This is what Alireza needed. You know, it's still a 6. Is it still 6 points?
If he wins this one, it's going to be 5.
5, yeah.
Still much better.
Okay, this one, I've said it in the previous game, but this one also he has to just win it.
Of course. No, to be honest, right now, until he gets anywhere close to Magnus on the scoreline, he's kind of in a must-win situation, right? He's in a must-win situation until he drops it down to, let's say, a 2-point deficit.
Yeah.
Because if you keep, ping-ponging between +1, +5, +6, +5, +6, it doesn't really matter, yeah? You're going to stay in the same position.
It's so sad. Guys, you know, our chats, mine was working for a moment, it stopped working, so I feel your frustration if you're trying to say something in the chat and you cannot, or maybe you are able to say something in the chat, but we are not able to see it right now, unfortunately. But hopefully you're sticking around with us and the chat will be fixed at some point.
Yeah,
is there anything you need to watch out for here as black? Or can you just make
scuffed.
natural moves? Maybe watch out not to lose the d-pawn?
No, this is already back to... it's not back to even by any stretch of the imagination, but this is a fight. Before, I think Alireza...
10 seconds. I didn't see the time situation.
Yes, 10 seconds against a minute 40. Yeah,
Oh
now it's... I would say from a practical perspective, I think it's very close to back to even, especially with the clock.
Why did Alireza burn? I mean, he had time, right? When he played this sequence. It might still be enough.
It should still be enough, but if you don't find extremely difficult moves, Magnus is getting back into this one. Magnus will be finding a way to get back into this one.
Also not easy for Magnus, though, to find the most precise. I mean, right now, for example, computer says rook d1, which I'm not even sure I understand, to just give up the f3 pawn.
Yeah, no,
maybe the
very
point
difficult.
is you can't defend it, I don't know.
Very difficult to understand that move. But you're losing that pawn no matter what.
Yeah.
So the question is, how do you lose it in the best way possible? And I guess rook to d1, just because, you know, at some point I will start pushing that pawn and you're in trouble.
Magnus spending time here. He understands the position is difficult. He's, you know, using most of his time to find the continuation, which will make Alireza's, and he finds the best move. Unbelievable.
Best move, and now knight c5. That's a double attack, knight e6, and knight takes d3. You're losing the
Watch
d3
out
pawn.
for knight e6. Could he miss it? No, he doesn't miss it, but d3 is going to fall.
Now I can go back.
That it's black king.
I think we're just seeing a repetition. Rook c8, and now rook takes f7. He's done. Toast. Game over. Magnus takes it.
I think that's it. I think that was the final nail in the coffin.
Did you see that reaction from Alireza?
I'm a bit behind. I'm still waiting for it. I don't know why my stream is so... Now I see it. Yeah.
He slapped the table.
Yeah.
A clear sign of frustration. He understood. I mean, how can this happen? I'm getting everything that I want. I'm getting decisive material advantages, and I still cannot take it over the finish line.
Yeah.
Like, what's
Yeah,
happening?
I think this is also now we're getting some answer. I think Magnus has been, really, really, really impressive today, but I think Alireza is also not as sharp as we have seen him against Hikaru, for example.
Yeah. And now we're back to Magnus you. we we have to get back
We
to Magnus you.
tried. We tried our
tried.
best.
We tried. He got a 2-1. 2-1 score with
He got a
Alireza
win at
POV.
least. But
A
yeah,
couple of wins, yes.
no, only one, no?
He got the point back, yes. He got two victories in a row, I think.
No, he got only one. I think the last one we had already kind of. I think he only won one.
Oh, you might be right.
And then he
Just
had a
one.
winning position, and we were thinking, oh, 2 in a row. I think we had already mentally given it as a win for Alireza.
We kind of were counting that as
Yeah.
as that's it, yeah?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, now back to 7 points, under 10 minutes left.
But how did Magnus find all those defensive resources? Rook to d1.
Absolutely no idea. He's just
like he
that
always
good.
finds chances, right?
Yeah.
No matter what the situation is, he's always going to find some chances.
No one does it as well as him, and he's doing well here, Magnus. What is this? A pawn sacrifice?
D4. I kind of like it. I understand it. I like it. I want to gain access to the d5 square. Makes a lot of sense. Take. Rook to d1. Maybe knight to f5. Maybe d takes c3. I have a lot of options.
I would just take on c3. I would say you had your chance to take the pawn.
Knight f5.
Knight f5, saying have it.
It's an interesting move because you immediately start looking at ideas of g4, kick the knight away, but I think g4, queen f3 is a beautiful shot. You cannot take on f5 because you lose the queen. So take on d4.
And now what, do you bring the other knight to d5? That's what he does, or maybe to c4 as well?
Yeah. And look at Alireza's body language. You can see that last game affected him. Because even mentally, he was kind of like starting to hope again.
I mean, he had just won a game and he was winning with black, and to not convert it is one thing, but to lose it.
Yeah. Then you have white. Maybe you can take it down to 4.
Yeah.
You gain some hope. Yeah. And
that hope is snatched away from you. Your heart is taken into strong grip and broken into 1,000 pieces.
Oh my goodness. But the thing is, it seems like it's been somewhat of a theme for Alireza. He's been getting down to the last 3 seconds, and I'm not talking only about this match, even in his match against Hikaru. But right now, he's getting bamboozled by Magnus. Whenever he has 3 seconds, it's almost like a death sentence. He cannot get out.
I think the problem is as well that his confidence, I think the Alireza we are seeing now is not the same Alireza we saw at the beginning of the match, and that's not because he's somehow magically lost his chess abilities. I think he's just, Magnus broke him a little bit.
Yeah, his confidence is shattered.
Not able to show his best chess any longer right now.
Absolutely. Rook to d3, but still, look, one game at a time. That's the only way you can view this type of matches, especially when you're down, also when you're up. One game at a time. That's what Alireza needs to do right now. Hey, there's nothing else to lose at this point.
That is true.
The match is not looking great. It's easy to see that. It's easy to understand that. Nothing to lose at this point. Just let your game flow. That's what he needs.
But he is in a tough position again. I mean, the black piece is really dominating the board. I'm struggling to see a move. Okay, bishop g5. I guess black will take on d3.
Rook takes d3, perhaps. Queen takes d3, maybe. The other knight goes to d5. At some point, white has to play knight d6 and try to force this trade. I like queen d5, by the way.
Self-pinning, but not for eternity.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this move. Knight takes c5 is coming. Sorry, how do you stop me from doing that?
A bishop f4, I guess I have to play.
You have to defend, but then I can even take on b2 if I want. You don't actually have any threat in the position.
This is awful.
Yeah, knight c4. 15 seconds for Alireza, still fighting, but after knight to d4, this one is going in one direction only. You can also just simply go rook c6, defend the rook. Obviously, you cannot move the knight.
For once we see Magnus also get down to seconds. Will he falter once? We haven't seen Magnus blunder anything. Of course, he's made some mistakes, but no big blunders that I can remember at least.
And his position is still dominating also.
Can Alireza swindle him once?
Let's see. That's a very good question, Fiona. Yes. Can he swindle him? Because we know how important swindles are in these matches. Very important. And they do happen. I mean, you do happen to have worse positions, and then you need to be able to win some.
Hey,
Squeeze the maximum. Check, check. Oh. Oof. Yeah.
And
that's another one.
Another one. That is an 8-point lead for Magnus.
And another
Carlsen.
one.
And this will be the final game, I guess, of the 3+1. Yeah, I think this one. Nobody makes up an 8-point deficit against Magnus in Bullet.
Magnus is slowly turning into DJ Khaled. And another one. And he knows it. He's laughing also. He's like, I did not deserve to win that one.
Magnus is looking very, very happy.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Right now.
He's happy.
He also has a nice position here. I love this. The white bishops are just so much better than their counterparts.
By the
Magnus,
way,
you know what Magnus is thinking right now? He's thinking of inflicting that double-digit loss on Alireza.
Probably. Does this structure remind you of something?
It reminds me of sadness.
Big sadness, but also it reminds me of Magnus versus Hans.
Oh, that is a good point. Yeah.
He won at least 2 games in this exact same structure. And in completely dominating fashion, by the way, right now.
I thought it was gonna be the last game of the 3+1, but at the speed at which Alireza's position is going downhill here, we might get another one.
I think you might be right. Bishop g5 followed by bishop g6. That's a checkmating threat in one move. So what do you do after bishop g5? How do you keep the game going? I guess bishop f6, bishop g6, king e7, queen takes g7. And the bishop on f6 is pinned by my bishop on g5. If he finds bishop g5,
it's over.
It's over. It's over, and you cannot. King g2. Okay.
Now what? Rook h8?
Yes, rook h8 maybe is the only way around.
Queen g6. And the king hides on g8 again now.
Yeah. Bishop f6, okay. Bishop g5 or bishop g6. I can take another pawn. Bishop g6, king e7, bishop takes g7. It's a very decent.
Magnus is really spoiled for choice here. I'm not surprised he's spending time.
Yes. But you can see Alireza is not even trying to think anymore. He's kind of, I feel he's somewhat resigned to his fate right now. Magnus still trying to be as precise as he can, which is a sign of feeling good about your match, feeling good about your chances, about your chess, and just generally trying to enjoy the moment, which is what Magnus is doing right now. He's really enjoying the moment.
Magnus, let's remind everyone, he is the defending champion of the SCC, and he's certainly on his way. Alireza, if he wanted to get another game, could resign, but I'm not sure.
I don't think he wants another game. I truly don't think he wants another game.
Yeah.
I think right now he just wants this match to be over.
Well, there's only half an hour of suffering left. Hopefully, I mean, he can just have some fun in the bullet, play a bit more freely. He will get a 15-minute break after this one. He is still fighting, but that king.
By the way, are we actually going to be having a 9-point deficit?
Yeah.
Going into the bullet? 9 points?
9 points.
My goodness. My goodness.
I don't remember Alireza ever getting crushed this badly in an SCC match.
In any match.
Or any match, yeah.
In any match, no. He's never been beaten this badly.
Shydok in the chat is saying Alireza is just gonna go home during the break while he lives in Paris, right? Imagine like, okay, I'm out of here.
He doesn't anymore, actually.
Oh.
He moved back to Chartres. Yeah. I think he mentioned it in his interview with Levy before the match.
It's not that far. Chartres is actually a very nice city, a city that does a lot for chess. But yeah, maybe he'll just still jump on the train back to Chartres he goes. Although he probably, do you think he takes the train? Probably. Sometimes I don't know with these guys, you know, do they take public transport?
Maybe he has a chauffeur.
Helicopter.
Yeah, helicopter, who knows?
This game is still going, but
that's a mate in one. That's a mate in one. Oh, ouch. Ouch.
When it rains,
ouch.
It pours. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? Even Magnus, you know, gave a little shrug. I think, you know, controversial, but Magnus loves winning. But I think even he's a little bit disappointed, you know, that it's so easy. I think he was expecting a closer match. And it's like, okay, I mean, you know.
I don't think so.
No?
No, I actually don't think so. Just because I think he wants to win, and I think he wants to win it pretty badly against Alireza. Who is the last guy that beat Magnus in a final?
Hikaru, I guess.
No, Alireza.
You're not
in
talking
the Champions Chess Tour. I'm not talking about that. In general,
yeah.
He beat him twice.
Yeah.
Twice back to back. Must-win situation coming from the elimination bracket. That definitely, you know, takes a toll. And he wanted to get that one back.
By
and
the
he's
way,
getting it.
Look at Alireza. He's still at the computer. He looks... Actually, I've never seen him look so sad.
He's so sad. He looks so sad. I think, I don't know, he's doing Puzzle Rush. He's playing more Bullet. Like, not sure what he's doing right now, but obviously he's frozen. Alireza right now looks absolutely frozen in time.
I think sometimes you just want to stay there because if you get up, you know, you have to interact with people. There's chess.com staff everywhere. If I understand correctly, their rest area is close to the VIP area. And sometimes I think in those spots you just don't want to see anyone. So you're like, okay, if I just stay seated here, you know, then I don't need to deal with any humans. I just want to be alone right now.
But it's a long break.
It's a long break.
It's a 15-minute break.
We'll see if he sticks around. We are gonna go on a break, we will be back with the bullet section in just under 15 minutes. This is the finale of this match, but unfortunately there's not too much intrigue left. We'll still be here for this segment, and we'll see you guys soon. Welcome back, everyone, to the final portion of this SCC final between Magnus Carlsen and Alireza. As you guys could see, Alireza did not move during the break. Christian, the match is probably gone as he's down by 9, but what do you think he should do in the bullet? Just try and have some fun?
Yeah, just to get the match over with, because he knows that his chances are absolutely minimal. Maybe if AI runs some sort of a simulation, Magnus loses this one in 5 million times, billion times. I don't know the number, but it's quite high.
Too big to compute.
The rent is too damn high. Yes, that's exactly what's happening right now. Magnus knows he has this in the bag. Put the finishing touches and get him out of his misery.
Yeah, I think Alireza, you know, I hope that he can find it in him to just play. And, you know, I mean, there will be so many. I understand his disappointment, but he's been winning so much lately. He will be back, you know, in the SCC for God knows how many years to come. So I think he should just try, you know, maybe the spirit is, hey, let me show that I'm maybe the best bullet player in the world, or something like that. But the way he's looking, I don't think the break helped him to, you know.
But that's a very good point. Hey, look, you need to find some sort of a positive aspect in pretty much every situation as a competitor. And that's what he needs to do right now. Look, maybe the match is over. Forget about the result. Yeah, don't even think about the result and maybe trying to come back into this one. Just try to challenge yourself. You're playing against Magnus. You have the opportunity to play against him in a match setting under the bright lights. You're going to probably be in this situation if you plan on hanging around the top of the chessboard, which I'm sure he does. So take this opportunity, challenge yourself, play against the best under the bright lights, and see where that takes you.
Where does it take him in this first game? What do you make of this?
Complicated. I would say perhaps balanced for the moment, but I still see Magnus with the 2 bishops having fun. 2 bishops, a pawn up, obviously I can always take it back. Knight takes d4, which he does maybe. Oh
My goodness.
Oh no, I told him to take the pawn. I forgot about the bishop. Oh my goodness, I jinxed him. Yeah, the guy is...
And this is gonna be a 10-point lead for Magnus. Magnus is not gonna mess this one up. I mean, it's a full... I think even the fact that Alireza is playing on, I think he's just, you know, so disgusted, so disappointed he's not even thinking clearly.
Yeah, I almost feel culpable for what happened. Yeah, it's over. Queen e1, queen e5, or queen e5 first, and that's it.
10 points.
10 points. My goodness. Okay. And now we see. Wait. Did we just see an Alekhine? That was an Alekhine.
We did.
That was an Alekhine. Alireza is playing the Alekhine right now. We're at that point in the match where the Alekhine
I don't think
comes
I've
out.
seen the Alekhine at that level in a long, long time.
Time to pull out the Alekhine. Yeah. Okay, but what is happening? What is happening? I'm seeing double question marks everywhere. King to d2. It doesn't really matter that I cannot castle. You can also just go bishop h4 and king f2 if you want. This one is looking pretty good for white. Knight on a5 is very badly placed, and that's putting it in a positive light. It's just a terrible...
How is that knight ever getting back?
It's a very good question.
d7, d8. I mean, there's no clear path for that knight. It just looks like more torture ahead for Alireza here. What do you do? Bishop e7? I mean, that bishop...
But bishop e7, I just simply take, and you cannot take with the queen. You have to You have
Yeah,
to take
but
with the king.
okay, I'll take with the king. What else?
Some sort of a delayed bank cloud.
Yeah.
Are we going to see the bank cloud? You think Magnus is
No.
going to play the bank cloud?
No.
You don't think he will?
No, I think he respects Alireza, and I think, you know, he will be like, okay, I'm not gonna.
But
I
Magnus
don't
does this
think
type of
he
things,
will.
right?
Yeah, but
Magnus
I
does this
think,
type of things.
you know, earlier when he won that game from a winning position, like there was no smirk of like, yeah, swindled another one. I think in
I
some
don't
spots,
I don't mean it disrespectfully towards
no,
Alireza. I think you know because the Neuralink guy played the
yeah,
bank cloud, and Magnus likes to do this type of things. Like for example, in New York, he played the Trumpovsky after Trump won the election. So in the first match against Karyakin, and I'm pretty sure he did it for that particular reason
But
because
the
he
thing
never
is,
played it
it's
often.
hard, right, to play the Bon Cloud and say it is not in any way disrespectful. I'm playing one of the worst openings in the world, but it's just a joke. No
But
disrespect.
he does this type of things, you know. He
Yeah,
does
but
this type of things.
I think, well, we'll see. I think he will not here. I think
He probably-
Alireza is tilted enough. Like, I think if I was in Alireza's shoes, I'm down 10 and then he plays a Bon Cloud, I'd be like, okay, I'm
That's
out
true.
of here.
That
you
that's
know?
that's true. That's true. It's very difficult not to feel offended by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you right now. Yeah.
What do we have here? A race between the A pawn and the H pawn.
Yes. Knight x5. A2. Yeah. So now, actually, for a second, I thought that, okay, that's a draw. Should be.
Should be.
Let's just, okay,
But
maybe we
Alireza
shouldn't talk
not
too fast.
kept checking.
I
Why?
think he could have. I think he could have. Yes.
Okay, just,
Now he can definitely keep checking.
yeah. Okay, we'll see a draw here.
Okay.
Okay, Alireza needs, you know, for his own
Draw.
peace of mind, he needs to win a game. I mean, the bullet section is still young, you know. He's not gonna win this match. He's not gonna make a comeback, but he needs to aim at winning a few games. What
Did he
is
just
going
play
on? Why? Yeah.
He played the fried
what?
liver. Magnus played the fried liver. He accepted the fried liver,
Oh.
which is considered, this is a losing position, objectively, for black.
So what do you have? An extra piece, but the king is on e6?
He decided to accept the fried liver.
Maybe this was like Magnus' way of like, okay, this is the way I can play kind of Von Cloud in the least disrespectful way.
Or maybe he's setting up the ground for a bank cloud. Because look, I played the fried liver. I gave you one, right? You
Yeah.
take this one. Can I just get the fried liver without getting punched in the face? I mean, a bank cloud, sorry, not a fried liver.
Do you think, I mean, do you think there's any way Alireza would rewind the match with 10 minutes to go?
I don't know. Yeah, tough to say. Tough to say.
Again, I don't think so. I think someone was saying the other day that this year is the first year where they introduced this, allowing players to resign. I think,
It's an admission, though. It's such an admission, right?
for like what, for this, you know, sparing yourself 10 minutes of suffering. Like I think. I
By the
don't
way,
think we'll
Magnus
almost
is
ever see it.
completely.
Oh
back
my
in
God,
the
how
game.
is he back in the game? I looked away for a second.
He's completely back in the game right now.
Oh my God.
Yeah. After after the fried liver. Yeah. He might take this one also. He might actually win this one as well.
Alireza, bishop e3, only move not to be lost.
He oh, d4. Okay, knight e4. Let's go, Alireza. Come on. Let's put Alireza in front. Let's view it from Alireza's side. Let's fight the fried liver. Come on,
That
Alireza.
king
You
is
can do
on
this.
quite the run.
I mean, the king is safe right now. The king is actually safe right now.
Ridiculous. But how many? Now we have 4 pawns.
That's a lot of pawns.
There's a lot of pawns. I mean, it's such a weird position. I would take white.
That's a lot of pawns. But a3, yeah, you're going to lose some.
Oh god.
Oof.
Oh no, and now
There's
mate
a
was
mate.
coming, yeah.
There's
I wouldn't take white any longer. This looked a lot more fun 30 seconds ago.
bishop b4, king. Yeah, it's kind of a race right now. So you go h6, king b4, rook f4. f3. No f3. What is happening?
Hey,
Rook
Alireza
c7, take,
should
f4.
be winning. Okay,
Oh, this
now
is it. This is it. This
million
is it. He got it.
pawns.
He got it. He got it.
Okay,
Got
this
it.
was important. Let's flip the board. Let's keep supporting Alireza for a bit.
Yes.
He stuck to the King's Indian all games, I think, except for one, right?
Throughout the match. Yes.
I think
he only
once he
played
played
one Queen's Gambit
Queen's
decline.
Gambit, yeah. Wow.
And since, yeah, I mean, he didn't like that Queen's Gambit, or at least he didn't like the position that he got. He lost that game. He was better, but it was always a very passive position. And perhaps this is not what Alireza. And look, that goes back to the point. Hey, maybe right now, with the match situation the way it is, maybe I should just focus on having fun. Playing the positions that bring me joy.
He doesn't look like he's having much fun, though.
Yes.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
Yes. Yes, I agree with you.
But okay, he's doing okay. This should just be a draw opposite colored bishops.
By the way, the bullet portion right now is equal.
Yeah.
So far, still a 9-point differential.
Which, yeah. Or is it even 8 if we didn't count?
I won't say it's 9. At least that's how it looks like on the screen. But
Yeah,
I might be
but they
wrong.
didn't add the Alireza win yet, right?
Oh, he did win the last one. So
Yeah,
perhaps
well,
Alireza is right
think
now
it's
leading.
Probably 8. It's hard. It's hard to keep track. Do you think Alireza has any chances to win here?
This position, yes, for sure. You do have a huge weakness. The pawn on c5, not after this move, because now you have to go back.
Oh god.
Yeah,
and
bishop
now
a5, he
you're
just missed.
suffering.
Now you're
Yeah,
suffering.
suffering.
Because I'm bringing my king. I'm probably taking the pawn as well. As long as you don't promote your pawn, then I'm leading the dance.
I have a bad feeling. This black king.
Rook takes
looks
a7.
so awful now.
I think he's gonna go for rook d3. Magnus says no.
So,
Yeah,
do you think they'll just repeat moves here?
I think so.
Can Alireza try rook g4? What's that?
That's going to be a repetition, no matter what. Ah, now rook b6 is the only move. He finds it. Rook b6 was the only move to keep him in the game.
But now I
Alireza-
feel that only Magnus can win.
Yes, yes. Yes, now it's... Well, I mean, you still have king c7, king c6. You're going to pick
True.
up the c5 pawn, and maybe you're going to be in time.
Yeah, no, actually.
rook g3.
Oh,
Good
I
move.
completely missed that. Very nice.
Good move by Alireza. Yeah, now he's probably winning this one.
And now the rook comes back.
I'm not sure
Oh.
about rook. Yeah.
A little too greedy. The king should have gone to e3. The pawn didn't matter.
Because rook d8, you can go rook d7 right now,
Yeah.
is what he missed. Now he just checks. Rook d7, king e2 check, and you cannot get out of this. Wait.
Oh.
Not rook d7, now rook e8 is winning. Rook c8, king g2.
Why is rook c8 not winning? Okay, now he finds rook e8. No.
I'm not sure. I think now he's back.
No.
I think now he's back. Magnus somehow is back. I don't know how it happened. Things are
Oh,
moving too fast.
God.
Rook takes d2, and now it's a
Okay,
draw.
now it's a draw. Another frustrating game.
Which also shaved off like
Yeah.
5 minutes off the
Around
clock.
move 70. Maybe Alireza doesn't mind the time being shaved off. Because I
Probably
don't
doesn't.
think he will resign the match, but I don't think he minds the match being over sooner rather than later.
Yeah. He's still trying. He's still trying. Wait.
Oh, what happened there?
I'm not sure.
Surely
actually.
he didn't offer a draw.
No, I don't think they have the time to offer a draw.
Let me
I'm actually
see.
kind of curious what happened. I
Yeah,
think he
that-
lost.
I'm
I think Magnus lost somehow.
so bad at having.
Let me see if I can find it.
I'm searching, but yeah, Alireza won on time.
He won on time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he did win on time.
So he is back to within
7.
8.
I thought it was 8 after his last
Yeah,
win.
I think maybe the score had been updated already, but not the scoreboard. So I think you were right all along about the score line.
Okay. All right. Now back within, let's say 8.
Back to single digits anyway.
Single digits. He's leading the dance in the bullet. Can we say that?
He is leading, that is true.
Can
I
we
think
say
if he
that?
can at least take the bullet, at least he'll walk away, hopefully not feeling as depressed as we've seen him. It's gonna be a depressing night, no matter what, let's face it, But to at least win something, they are also playing, for their chess.com bullet ratings. I guess Alireza is one of the highest rated there, so maybe he can farm a little bit of bullet rating. As we discussed earlier, you have to find something, right, to play for. Like, you're not gonna win the match. You can't just walk away. I mean, you can in 3 minutes. I don't think you will, so you might as well find something.
Yeah.
Something to play for. And this one... Oh,
now the question is, the next time you're going to be facing Magnus, and obviously, are you going to reference in your mind this match and say that, oh yeah, I won the bullet portion, or are you going to be like, I don't want to ever talk about this match ever again? Is the question, right? Or like even think about this match ever again.
Try to put it out of your mind for the rest of time.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what the learning moments. I'm sure there were many, but I couldn't pinpoint what exactly. I mean, it just felt like such domination today. And this is a nice shot by Magnus. Knight f2, brilliant move. And he does not want to lose the bullet.
He does not, no.
He wants to dominate everywhere.
Yes, bishop g3, queen g5, not queen g5, okay. I thought that he's going for the mate. He just wants the bishop. Good enough.
I think we can safely say as well that there will be no one cloud. No. He is within that double digit. I'm sure Magnus, the players have their minds on things like this. Like, oh, can I win it by 10 or more?
Yeah.
We are now back to what, 9 points? Let's see.
Perhaps. To be honest, I stopped counting. But on the screen it says 9.
Has anyone ever won a final by 10 points or more?
Final, yes. Because Hikaru just won it last time.
Hikaru
scored what? 21? 21 points?
Yeah.
Magnus is at 16. 16.5.
Yeah.
Do you think he can match that or surpass that?
No, I don't think so.
16.5. Okay. So I
We'll
think it was 21-9.
Yeah.
Hikaru's match.
But yeah, regardless, I mean, this was such a dominating performance, and he has a winning position again. I mean, maybe he can match Hikaru's score. I was thinking there isn't that much time left, but you can play a lot of games of bullet in 11 minutes.
Knight f8, trying to go to d7. But actually the position is kind of busted already. I blinked and now the position is lost. Queen to a4. Exchange the queens.
Such a difficult, but
Take. Maybe I can even go rook d1. You cannot take on c5 because of rook to c2. Actually, I think rook d1 might. Rook c1. I mean, the precision to which this player, with which these players play, it's absolutely.
Bullet. It's mind blowing.
I mean, how do you find rook c1, bishop b2, bishop d1 idea? Such a okay. Once you see it, it's easy, right? But such a difficult one to see with a couple of seconds, and they just find it. Especially Magnus, he just finds it.
But Magnus today, I mean, I think one of the things that was most impressive from my point of view about Magnus is he just didn't blunder. Like, of course, he made some mistakes, but I don't remember him, you know, falling for one move tactics. The positions where he was winning, I don't think he lost a single one of them. We saw turnarounds the other side when Alireza was winning, but when Magnus was winning, he just converted almost everything.
Yep. And rook to d8 is the next. And this is just an easy technical win. Rook c8, rook a8, rook a7. Pick up the pawn, pick up.
That's 17.5 points for Magnus.
And now we kind of get the answer.
He is playing the King's Indian now.
And he's playing the match. He's continuing the match. Right now he can officially resign the match. He decides to play the match. So we kind of got the answer that this match is going to go the whole way.
I think the players aren't even thinking of it. I seen the chat. I got a few messages flooding in again. Champ for Real is saying underwhelming finale. I agree. I think it was a little bit disappointing that all matches this weekend, we saw 4 matches and all of them basically were decided going into the bullet, which from a spectator point of view, of course, is a little bit disappointing, but I think we just saw 4 matches where one player was absolutely dominating, and that's just sport. It happens.
But do you know who's playing the King's Indian right now?
No, I was saying it at the beginning, that Magnus suddenly. It was his turn.
I blacked out, but he's playing exactly the same variation with h6. Trying to prove a point, perhaps, trying to say, I can play this too.
And he is proving a point. He is doing what Alireza couldn't do.
He's definitely winning.
I mean, it's cruel.
Actually, he just...
Oh my god.
The game is over.
That was a demolition. I mean, that's what the King...
I was trying to get my words in before the game was over. It was over so fast.
And that's 18.5. Magnus. Yeah, Hikaru finished. I think he finished on 21 yesterday.
21, yes.
So, he can. They're gonna play 3 games. If he wins them all.
I was trying to get the double digits. Now he's on double digits.
Yeah. And you can sense that he is feeling it right now. There's not enough time left for an adoption, but
G4 spots everything.
Everything.
Spots absolutely everything. It's incredible. You give him one move to punish you, he'll punish you, and that's a piece. Yeah, it's honestly quite impressive. He just doesn't miss. Like, it's very difficult to play against a wall. It feels like you're playing against a wall, right?
Yeah.
It's just like you're hitting the ball.
I mean, Alireza really
not getting anywhere.
Helpless. Like, he didn't find anything. Like, there was not even one moment where it felt like, oh, maybe, he's found a weakness. Magnus showed no weakness today.
Bishop h6. Next.
And designation. 19.5. Still 6 minutes 45.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is brutal.
Why is Magnus is back to playing black
again? I think that's a mistake.
No, it's not, because he won 2 games.
Oh yeah, he won so quickly.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, yeah.
had the impression it was last game that he played the King's
And
Indian.
he's winning again. How is this possible? I mean, I'm just getting ready to look at the game and it's already... How?
Magnus played against the King's Indian and learned the King's Indian while he was playing against it. And now he's just like showing Alireza,
Look at this bishop
hey, this is
on
how you play.
H1.
What an ugly bishop. And guess what? I'm actually going to sacrifice my bishop for the pawn on H4.
Oh my god, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
This is filthy. This is pure filth.
Yeah. Queen C2.
Can we take on B5?
We certainly can. Certainly can. Rook A8 is fine as well. Yeah, okay, no. Alireza right now is just going through the motions, just like pretty much everybody else would do in this situation. It's not like he's giving up. It's not like, that's just the nature of it. There's not much you can do.
Yeah, I mean, okay, he must be looking at the timer, 5 minutes of torture to go, and then, he can move past. I think, of course, it's super, super disappointing in the moment, but all in all, Alireza, he's won both Singfield events. He crushed Hikaru in the semi-final. Okay, he came up against a monstrously good Magnus Carlsen today. That happens. Oh god, there's another one. Magnus 1 win away from surpassing Hikaru's score from yesterday, which before the match, if you had asked me, I honestly wouldn't have thought it was possible.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday looked like such a one-sided affair. And I really thought actually that today was gonna be incredibly close.
That's how I felt too. That's how I felt too. I even told you at the beginning, this one is going to be close. There's no way this one is not going to be close. I jinxed it because, it was nowhere close. In fact.
I mean, unless he gets 2 wins here, he's going to score less than Hans.
Ouch.
As well.
Ouch. Yeah. That's a tough one. I mean, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Alireza to have 7.5 points, considering he had like 2.5 points after, the first 4 games.
3 hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a demolition. It's been a demolition job. There's no way around it. There hasn't been much contest, and it's been the case for a while. For the simple fact that Magnus really is playing the best moves with a minute on his clock. Like, he's actually playing some of these games. I would be very proud to play in classical. And he's playing it in under 30 seconds.
It's funny because Alex and I did a course on the Scotch for Chessable. And in the model games, we actually included one bullet game that Magnus played. And it was like, okay, it feels a bit ridiculous to include a bullet game, for an openings course. But Magnus sometimes, okay, of course it's the opening, but his bullet games can be, just spectacular. He's just taking everything. That's 21.5 points. Magnus surpassing Hikaru's score from yesterday, obliterating poor Alireza, and I think there will still be 2 games of torture left.
Yeah.
We're actually ridiculously close to adoption, by the way. It's 6 in a row. It's not gonna happen, but
it's not gonna happen.
If there was a bit more time on the clock,
it's not actually going to.
It could
happen, right? No way. There's no way.
Imagine if Magnus says, when the timer runs out, okay, let's go, let's play 2 more. I want to adopt. Oh god, it's hard to watch, I am an Alireza fan, and it's just, I feel for him,
we all are, I mean, Hikaru Magnus is an Alireza fan as well, because he is representing the new generation, more or less. He's been around for a while. He's a very, respectful young man. He carries himself well. So, a lot of people like the way Alireza, what Alireza represents within the chess world. But that doesn't mean that, and we've been talking about this since the beginning of the finals. Magnus is a different type of player. He never lets go. He never lets up. He never lets you get back into the match, and he has absolutely no shame in just destroying you. Like, he never feels bad for you. He never feels bad for you.
No.
He wins 10 in a row, is just there at the office. He doesn't feel bad. And we feel bad, right? We're like, okay, well, when is the suffering going to end? Magnus, he'll play for another 10 hours at this pace, and he's not going to feel bad for Alireza.
If he wins this last game and there is only 45 seconds left on the timer, so unless this one ends with a shocker, it will be the last game. If Magnus wins it, he will have won the last 8 games of this match.
Why did he lose the last 5 bullet games to Hans? Okay, that's a good question, actually. Probably, I would say, because he actually did not enjoy that match. And he said it. He didn't want to play that match. So I would assume that that one was special. Once he knew that he's winning it, he was like, okay, checked out.
Oh my god, he actually... Why did Alireza not just let the clock run out? Or had it run out? Oh, I think the match is over, actually.
It is. They're not restarting another game.
22.5, 7.5, the final score. And Christian, you said you had to leave at 3 p.m. It is now 2:59.
23.5. Sorry. Just to correct you, not 22.5. 23.5,
oh
yes.
Goodness.
Absolute demolition. Congratulations to the speed chess champion, Magnus Carlsen. There was never any doubt in this one, and as you can see him, he's receiving all the glory right now. Well deserved. He truly put on a masterclass today.
Today was the most dominant I've seen Magnus in a while. He was, he felt good. We could see him. There was never any, he sometimes lost a couple of games in a row. Well, once, twice actually, but he didn't let anything affect him, even in the early stages. He was just, dominant in every part of the game, and he is a very deserving speed chess champion 2024.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, to be honest, this one concludes for us. If you want to watch the interviews, obviously you can go to the official broadcast on chess.com, YouTube, Twitch, Kick. But right now, I think it's time for us to say goodbye. It's time for me to make a flight, and I will see you in maybe a day in Budapest.
I will see you in Budapest very soon, guys. Sorry we weren't able to interact much. The chat was acting up, but thank you so much for watching. As always, thanks to Jaren, thanks to the mods. Congrats again to Magnus Carlsen. Thank you for watching us this weekend. It's been good. Have a good one. Bye-bye.